Good evening everyone. Welcome to Eduphore IAS, UPSC Civil Service Exam Prelims 2022 analysis. Well, this year exam was neither very tough nor very easy, but I would place it rather as in moderately tough category. And as far as cutoff is concerned, our understanding says that cutoff would be around 90 marks. So anyone who has scored above 90 can find him in a comfortable situation and can accept call from UPSC for mains examination. Now, as far as division of marks of different subjects is concerned, this year science and environment, it carried the maximum weight of 29 marks. So you can say that 29 questions they were asked from science and environment section. Current affair carried 16 questions, economy carried 16 questions, and from history 16 questions were asked. As far as geography is concerned, there were 13 questions, and polity 10 questions were asked from polity section. So this is the topic wise detail that from where the questions were asked, but you can see that science and environment, it carried maximum weight, and in science and environment it was the environment section from where the most of the questions, more than 15 questions, they were asked from science and environment, environment section only, right? So dear friends, I would be taking up economy section, and other colleagues, other team members, they would be covering different other subjects. So let us start with the economy section. From economy, around 16 questions were asked. 2-3 questions were direct. 2-3 questions were a bit tricky. Rest of the questions they were like moderate and between moderate to tough category, right? So let us have, but if you are good with the fundamental concepts of economy, anyone who has done who understands the fundamentals of economy well could have done it comfortably. Now let us start with the first question. Rapid financing instruments and rapid credit facility are related to the provisions of lending by which one of the following: Asian Development Bank, International Monetary Fund, United Nations Environment Program Finance Initiative, and World Bank. Well, we need to understand that both these facilities, rapid financing instrument and rapid credit facility, they were in news during Sri Lanka crisis. And if you have read newspaper, and if you have studied our current affair notes, it was mentioned that this facility belongs to IMF. So IMF is the right choice. You need to understand that rapid financing instrument and rapid credit facilities, these instruments are offered by International Monetary Fund to help the member nations to meet their temporary BOP crisis. So if member nations, they find themselves in balance of payment crisis, so these facilities are provided by IMF to member nations to overcome such problems. Rapid financing instrument is it is available for all the member nations, whereas rapid credit facility is available to only the poorer nations, right? Or you can say low income nations, less developed countries, right? So this is the difference. So B is the right choice. These facilities will belong to IMF. Number 2 is, with reference to Indian economy, consider the following statements. So anyone who's good in banking could have done this question. If the inflation is too high, RBI is likely to buy government securities. Now, buying and selling of government securities, it comes under open market operations. Open market operations. Right? So what happens when RBI, when there is there is surplus money supply in the system which is causing inflation, what RBI will do? RBI will sell the security and squeeze the rupee, squeeze the money supply from the system. And if there is, in order to promote growth, if there is less money supply, what RBI will do? RBI will release the rupee and squeeze the securities. But here he is saying that if inflation is too high, RBI is likely to buy government securities. So buying government securities means releasing rupee, injecting rupee in the system. which will further enhance prices or will fuel the inflation. So this option is ruled out. This is wrong option. Second, if rupee is rapidly depreciating, RBI is likely to sell dollars in the market. Now, intervention of RBI in case of foreign exchange is called market stabilization scheme, MSS, or sterilization policy. Right? So if rupee is depreciating, what does this mean? It means demand for dollar is greater than supply of dollar. If demand for dollar is great, what RBI is to do? RBI needs to release dollars in the market, right? So RBI is likely to sell dollars in the market, which is true, because when RBI will be selling the dollars, it would be enhancing the supply of dollars in the market. So 2 is the right choice. Third, if interest rate in USA or European Union were to fall, that is likely to induce RBI to buy dollars. Now the question is, if interest rate in the USA, European Union were to fall, now what happens if interest rate in any country of the world, now America or European Union, these regions, if it falls, what will happen? That there would be capital flight from these nations to India. Why? Because interest rate in these nations has fallen. So when USA or European Union, when they are offering lesser interest rate and relatively interest rate in India are higher, then capital will flow from these nations to India. So when there would be more inflow of capital in India, and it may lead to increase in dollars in the foreign exchange market, RBI may buy the dollars so as to stabilize rupee, because more inflow of dollars may lead to appreciation of rupee. So sudden appreciation of rupee is also dangerous for exports. It will hamper exports. So ultimately what RBI will do, it will squeeze the dollars from the market, again sterilization policy, right? So in this case RBI will buy dollars. So this is true. So it means second and third options, they are correct. So B makes the right choice. It was a good question, very good question, but anyone who was good with the fundamentals of economy could have done it. Second question, in India, which one of the following is responsible for maintaining price stability by controlling inflation? So anyone, in fact, you need not to be very good in fundamentals, but it's very, easy question, I would say. It is RBI. The primary aim of RBI is promoting growth and price and controlling inflation. So price stability, so RBI is, given the task of controlling the prices in the economy. Next question, with reference to Indian economy, what are the advantages of inflation indexed bonds? Now, what are inflation indexed bonds? They protect investors from uncertainty regarding inflation. Simple definition is given here, right? B makes the right choice. Now, come to the first one. Government can reduce the coupon rates on its borrowing by way of IRBs. Now, what is coupon rate? Coupon rate is interest rate offered on such bonds. So when government is already giving a facility of indexing the bonds against the price rise, then government can think of reducing the coupon rate, that is interest rate. So this is also true, because when government is extending one facility, it can withdraw another facility. Here, the higher interest rate. Third, interest rate received as well as capital gains on IRB are not taxable. Nowhere is mentioned that interest received as well as capital gains on IRBs are not taxable. So ultimately 1 and 2 only. A is the right choice. Moving to next question. With reference to convertible bonds, consider the following statement. As there is an option to exchange the bond for equity, convertible bonds pay a lower rate of interest. Now what happens? Definitely convertible bond means that when a bond holder, it can convert bonds into equity after a certain lock-in period. So when he is provided with this particular facility, so definitely again lower rate of interest may be given to such bond holders. So this is correct. Secondly, the option to convert to equity affords the bond holders a degree of indexation to rising consumer prices. This is also correct, because when will a bondholder will convert to equity? Because whenever he'll find that price rise is too high, so this conversion from bondholder to owner of equity is kind of provides a degree of indexation to the rising consumer prices. So 1 and 2 are correct, so C makes the right choice. So the next question, which one of the following activities constitute a real sector in the economy? You need to remember there are two sectors in the economy. One is a real sector that leads to production of goods and services. Another one is financial sector that leads to the flow of funds, short-term and long-term funds. If short-term funds, then it's money market. If long-term funds, then it's capital market. Now, farmer harvesting their crops, it is leading to agriculture production. It falls under real sector, right? Textile mill converting raw cotton into fabrics. This is also real sector. Again, production of textile. Third, commercial bank lending money to a trading company. Now, it comes under flow of funds. Flow of funds, right? And fourth one is a corporate body issuing rupee denominated bonds overseas. Now, this is again financial instrument, but under capital market. So this is money market and this is capital market. But both third and fourth, they fall under financial sector. So ultimately 1 and 2 makes right choice. So you can see A is the right option. Moving to next question. With reference to the expenditure made by an organization or a company, which of the following statement is oblique are correct? Acquiring new technology is a capital expenditure. Now, what is again? Though two types of expenditure are there. One is capital expenditure. Another one is revenue expenditure. Capital expenditure refer to long-term expenditure which are incurred by a company on machines, technology, anything, because machines lead to the production of more goods and services, right? So revenue expenditure, they are short-term and one-time expenditure, right? Now, acquiring new technology is capital expenditure. Yes, this is true, because again, it is capital. Machines, if machines are bought by the firm or company, organization company, then it is a capital expenditure. So it is basically a physical capital. So we can place it in the category of physical capital. Secondly, debt financing is considered capital expenditure. Yes, it is considered capital expenditure. While equity financing is considered revenue expenditure. No, equity financing is also capital. It is equity capital, right? So this is wrong. 2 is wrong. 1 is correct. So A makes the right choice. Let us move to the next question. With reference to Indian economy, consider the following statements. A share of the household financial saving goes towards government borrowing. Yes, here the examiner is talking about provident fund. So provident fund is nothing but it is lending by general public to the government, right? Secondly, dated securities. Dated security means long-term securities issued at market-related rates in auctions form a large component of internal debt. Nowadays, there is emphasis of the government to make debt sustainable. A lot of debate was there in newspaper. You might have read many articles that is India's public debt sustainable. Sustainability of public debt means that if a government has more loan of short-term nature, then the debt is less sustainable, because from where the government will pay the amount. And if most of the government's public debt is of long-term durations, means dated securities, it is in the form of dated security, it means debt is sustainable. And nowadays we are saying that India's internal debt is sustainable. And so that is why it's saying that it's issued at market rated interest rate auction form a large component of internal debt. This is true. So 1 is true, 2 is true, and C makes the right choice. Next, consider the following statements. Tight monetary policy of US Federal Reserve could lead to capital flight. Tight monetary policy means contractionary money policy or dear money policy. So it means reduction in CRR, SLR, reduction in bank rate, increase in repo rate, increase in CRR, increase in SLR, increase in repo rate. So it will lead to what? It will lead to squeezing of money supply from the system. So tight monetary policy US Federal Reserve could lead to capital flight. Now what happens if USA goes for, US Federal Bank Reserve means what? US Central Bank. If it goes for tight money policy, it will lead to increase in interest rate in USA. So will it lead to capital flight? No, because US lead to capital flight. Yes, from India to USA, it may lead to capital flight because US interest rates will increase and it will make US will become an attractive destination for Indian investors to invest for short-term capital, right? So it will stimulate capital flight from India to USA. This is true. Secondly, capital flight may increase the interest cost of firms with existing ECBs. Now what happened when capital flight will take place from India to USA? There would be depreciation of Indian rupee. Depreciation of Indian rupee because now more supply of dollars would go to USA. So relative demand would be greater than supply of dollar. So depreciation of dollar, it leads to what? It increases the cost of our borrowing. It increases the principal amount of our borrowing now because depreciation rupee means what? We need to make more payments in dollars so as to repay the debt. At the same time, it also increases the interest cost of firms with ECBs, firms which borrow from foreign lands. So 2 is also correct. Third is devaluation of domestic currency decreases the currency risk associated with ECBs. Devaluation and depreciation, they are same, except devaluation is government induced and depreciation is automatic. We are saying that devaluation decreases the currency risk. No, it increases the currency risk associated with ECBs. This is what we have discussed here in point 2. This is wrong. 1 and 2 are correct. A makes the right choice. Now next question. Consider the following statements. In India, credit rating agencies are regulated by RBI. No, they are not regulated by RBI. They are regulated by SEBI. So first statement is incorrect. Secondly, the rating agency popularly known as ICRA is a public limited company. True. Brickwork Rating is an Indian credit rating agency. This is also true. Simple question. 2 and 3 only. Anyone who is in touch with the current affairs could have done it. So 2 and 3 makes right choice. 1 is wrong. B is the right answer. With reference to Banks Board Bureau, which of the following statement is correct? Now, Government of India introduced the concept of Bank Board Bureau in 2015-16 budget. Right? The main purpose of establishing Bank Board Bureau was recommending for the selection of heads of public sector banks and helping the public sector banks in developing strategies and capital raising plans. The main functions of BBB are mentioned in statement 2 and 3, right? But the governor of RBI is chairman of RBI. This option is wrong. The chairman of BBB is appointed by Government of India, and right now PJ Nayak is the Dr. PJ Nayak. He is the chairman of BBB. It's not the governor of RBI, which is the chairman of BBB. So 2 and 3 makes a right choice. B is the right answer. In India, which one of the following compiles information on industrial disputes, closures, retrenchments and layoffs in factories employing workers? One of the easiest question in entire GS paper. It is Labor Bureau. C makes the right choice. Which one of the following situation reflects indirect transfers often talked about in media recently with reference to India? This is with regard to the Vodafone Hutchinson controversy. If you are if you have read our newsletters, current affair newsletter, you won't have found this question problematic. I will straightway go to the D option. A foreign company, in this case Vodafone, transfer shares and such shares derive the substantial value from assets located in India. Which company? Hutchinson, SR, right? So D makes a right choice. You can eliminate other choices. D is the right choice if you are, if you know the Vodafone controversy. Now moving to next question. With reference to G20 common framework, consider the following statements. It is an initiative endorsed by G20 to, now we need to understand that this G20 common framework, it came into force in November 2020 when COVID outbreak, it has, engulfed entire world, right? And it was initiative endorsed by G20 together with Paris Club. This is right choice. Secondly, it is an initiative to support low-income countries with unsustainable debt, and especially it was introduced to help such countries during the COVID time. So second choice is also right. C makes the right answer, both 1 and 2. Moving to next question. With reference to Indian economy, consider the following statements. An increase in nominal effective exchange rate indicates appreciation of rupee. This is true statement. Now, what is nominal effective exchange rate? Nominal effective exchange rate, it compare the nations currency with the basket of other nations currency. So basically it provides a trading comparison of a nation with regard to other nations. And what is real effective exchange rate? Real effective exchange rate is nothing but when we adjust inflation with nominal effective exchange rate, then we get real effective exchange rate. And again, this is vis-a-vis Indian currency. This is Indian currency vis-a-vis basket of other currencies. And real effective exchange rate also gives us trade competitiveness. Because prices are there, तो जिसके prices कम है naturally उसकी trade competitiveness ज़्यादा है. Now, an increase in nominal effective exchange rate indicates appreciation of rupee. This is right choice क्योंकि जब whenever exchange rate rises, तो ultimately it leads to appreciation. An increase in real effective exchange rate indicates an improvement in trade competitiveness. Now this is wrong. It decreases trade competitiveness because inflation component is there now. So second is the wrong choice. Third is an increasing trend in domestic inflation relative to inflation in other countries likely to cause an increasing divergence between near and real. This is true because I told you that what is real effective exchange rate? It is a nominal effective exchange rate adjusted with inflation. So 3 is correct. 1 and 3 makes the right choice. So here C is the right answer. It was also a good question. With reference to foreign-owned e-commerce firms operating in India, which of the following statement are correct? First, they can sell their own goods in addition to offering their platform as marketplaces. This is true. Example is Amazon. It's an e-commerce portal. Amazon, like various e-commerce portals, they provide platform for various buyers and sellers to meet virtually, and then they can engage in trading. But at the same time, Amazon is also selling its own products through its own portal. So this is true. 1 is correct. Second, degree to which they can own big sellers on the platform is limited. This is in order to reduce the economic concentration of economic power. So Government of India in its recent notification, it has come out with this notification that with this proposal that they cannot bring big sellers to the platform. So there is some limit. Like one e-commerce company can favor another company. So this is also true. 1 and 2 makes the right choice. So C is the right answer. So dear friends, this is all from my side. So thank you very much. This is all from my side. Other teachers, they would be taking up other subjects. All the best.
Jai Hind, guys and girls. So my name is Nishant and I am here with the discussion analysis on UPSC Preliminary Exam 2022 on the specific subject that is Indian polity. If I analyze the questions were not tough and they were not easy. Means around 20 to 30% of the questions were easy, but on an average, I can say that the questions were of moderate level. They were not much tough as we have experienced in the last years. And the total number of questions which we have seen in this exam were 10 in Indian polity. So let's examine, let's analyze, let's understand what are the answers of the question, of these questions. So the first question which we have is that consider the following statement. The statement wise question. The first statement says, pursuant to the report of H.N. Sanyal Committee, the Contempt of Courts Act 1971 was passed. This statement is proper, is actually correct. This statement is correct. This statement is that the pursuant to the report of H.N. Sanyal Committee, yes, the Contempt of Courts Act 1971 was passed. The second statement says the Constitution of India empowers the Supreme Court and the High Courts to punish for the contempt of themselves. The Supreme Court and High Courts are known as the Court of Records. And yes, they have the power to punish themselves for the contempt of themselves. To punish anybody for the contempt of themselves. So the second statement is also correct. The third statement says the Constitution of India defines civil contempt and criminal contempt. There are two types of contempt, the civil and the criminal contempt. But the Constitution does not define. The Constitution does not define the difference between or the meaning of civil contempt and criminal contempt. So the statement 3 comes out to be wrong. The statement 4 says in India, the parliament is vested with the powers to make laws on contempt of court. This is actually right. We can also check from the first statement that through a committee, the contempt of court has been passed. So there is a act for contempt of court. Now act can be made by the parliament only. So it is that the parliament is vested with the powers to make laws on the contempt of court. So from the above statements, the correct answer would be B, that is 1, 2 and 4. Coming on to the second question. With the reference to India, consider the following statement. The first statement is government law officers and legal firms are recognized as advocates. I would stop here. An advocate is an individual who have cleared a law degree, who have been graduated from a law degree and has given an exam of advocate to any bar council of state. But a government law officer and a legal firm can never be recognized as an advocate. Fine. So statement 1 comes out to be wrong and I won't read it further because I don't want to waste my time. Means when I'm thinking as a candidate while giving an exam, when the first statement has come out to be wrong over here, I won't read it further. Now, the second, bar councils have the power to lay down the rules relating to legal education and recognition of law colleges. We have medical councils, we have technological councils which actually decide about the rules of technology, about the rules of medical. So similarly, we have Bar Council of India which have the power to lay down the rules relating to education and recognition of law colleges. So statement 2 comes out to be right. So the correct option would be B, that is 2 only. The next question is, consider the following statements. The first statement is, a bill amending the constitution requires a pre-recommendation of the President of India. This is not necessary. However, in some case, it requires a pre-recommendation, but in not every case. So this statement comes out to be wrong. Next, the statement is, when a constitution amendment bill is presented to the President of India, it is obligatory for the President of India to give his or her assent. Actually, it was made obligatory for the President in the time when Indira Gandhi was the Prime Minister. And it was done as per 124th Constitutional Amendment. So that is why when a constitutional amendment bill is presented to the President of India, it is obligatory for the President of India to give his or her assent. The next is third. A constitution amendment bill must be passed by both the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha by a special majority, and there is no provision for joint sitting. Yes, a constitutional amendment bill has to be passed by a special majority. The formula of that special majority is more than 2/3 of president voting, which should be greater than more than half of the total strength of the house. And yes, there is no provision for the joint sitting. So the statement 2 and statement 3 is correct. So the answer B comes out to be correct. Pass. Fourth, consider the following statements. The statements is that the Constitution of India classifies the ministers into 4 ranks. That is the cabinet minister, a minister of state with independent charge, minister of state, and deputy minister. The point wrong over here is that the Constitution of India does not classify it. The Constitution of India does not classify it. However, it tells about the cabinet minister, but not all the 3 mentioned after that. However, we have not seen any deputy minister in the recent times. It was last seen at the time of Rajiv Gandhi ke time par hi it was seen. So Constitution does not mentions about the 4 of them. So the statement 1 comes out to be the wrong. The statement 2 says the total number of ministers in the union government, including the prime minister, shall not exceed the 15% of the total numbers of members in the Lok Sabha. That is written as it is in the Constitution, and it is totally correct. So the statement 2 comes out to be the correct, and the option correct is B, that is 2 only. Question number 5. Which of the following is or are the exclusive powers of the Lok Sabha? Exclusive powers which are only available to the Lok Sabha. The first is to ratify the declaration of emergency. That is, to ratify the declaration of emergency, no. Rajya Sabha also participate in the declaration of emergency. To pass a motion of no confidence against the Council of Ministers. Yes, Lok Sabha is responsible to pass a no confidence motion. Okay? Whenever the government, whenever the ruling party or the members of the ruling party which are elected as an MP shows no confidence in the current government or in the current prime minister, so the opposition party can actually pass a no confidence motion, can actually request a no confidence motion, and if the no confidence motion fails, in that case the government will have to resign. Fine. So the third statement is to impeach the President of India. To impeach the President of India, both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha participates. So this statement also comes out to be wrong when we talk about the exclusive powers of the Lok Sabha. So the correct statement is 2 only. Fine. Now, with reference to anti-defection law in India, consider the following statements. The law specifies, statement 1 is, the law specifies that a nominated legislature cannot join any political party within 6 months of being appointed to the house. Actually, the nominated legislature has only 6 months to join any political party after it gets nominated. The day he or she gets nominated, he or she has 6 months to join any political party. But here the statement is written cannot. So the statement comes out to be wrong. The law does not provide any time frame within which the presiding officer has to decide a defection case. And this statement is correct. Actually, the anti-defection law is silent over the time frame which is to be given, which is given to the presiding officer to decide on any case in anti-defection. So this statement comes out to be true, and the correct option is 2 only. Coming on to the 7th question, consider the following statements. The Attorney General of India and Solicitor General of India are the only officers of the government who are allowed to participate in the meetings of the Parliament of India. Actually, in this case, if it would have been written only Attorney General of India, then the statement would have been correct, because Solicitor General does not have such powers. Only the Attorney General of India can actually participate, can be a member of any parliamentary committee, but Solicitor General does not have this power. And Attorney General also does not have a power to vote in any motion. Fine. So this statement comes out to be wrong just because the Solicitor General does not have such powers. The statement 2 mentions, according to the Constitution of India, the Attorney General of India submits his resignation when the government which appointed him resigns. This Attorney General of India actually resigns when the government resigns, or when the 5 years, when the tenure of the government has ended. But this is a conventional method. It is not at all mentioned in the Constitution. But the statement says this according to the Constitution. So here the term according to the Constitution comes out to be wrong, and the statement 2 comes out to be wrong. So that is neither 1 or 2. Fine. Next question is, with reference to the writs issued by the courts in India, consider the following statements. The statement 1 is, mandamus will not lie against a private organization unless it is entrusted with the public duty. So whenever a private organization is entrusted with the public duty, it comes under the purview of mandamus, because mandamus is always issued against any public office. And whenever a private organization is performing a public duty or any government duty, it comes out to be the public office only. So that is why mandamus will lie against a private organization when it is entrusted with the public duty. So when we read a statement, it comes out to be a positive statement. So it is mandamus will not lie against a private organization unless it is entrusted with the public duty. So that is why this statement 1 is correct. The mandamus will not lie against a company even though it may be a government company. If it will be a government company, the mandamus can be issued against it. So this statement comes out to be wrong. Any public-minded person can be petitioner to move the court to obtain the writ of quo warranto. The quo warranto is a writ which can actually challenge a person holding a public office or the authority of a public office. So in this quo warranto, there is a provision of locus standi, and any person can be a petitioner in this writ, can move to the court to obtain the locus, to obtain the quo warranto. So that is why the statement 3 comes out to be correct. And in this case, the correct answer would be 1 and 3, that is C. To do with the election of, you can say, deputy speaker, but he can only participate as a legislature member, nothing much. So this statement comes out to be wrong. The statement, the right is 1 and 3 only. Fine. The last question, if a particular area is brought under the 5th schedule of the Constitution of India, which one of the following statements best reflects the consequence of it? Now, 5th schedule actually mentions about, you can say specifically, the interests of the tribal people which are economic in nature. Fine. So keeping that in view, if I read the first statement, that this would prevent the transfer of land of tribal people to non-tribal people. So this can be one of the answers. Let's check other also. This would create a local self-governing body in that area. Not at all, because local self-governing body, Panchayati Raj system is mentioned in the 11th and 12th schedule. This would convert. So this comes out to be wrong. This would convert that area into union territory. No, that is not a. We can convert an area into union territory under Article 3. The state having such areas would be declared as a special category state? No, not at all. It does not mention like this. So when we talk about the economic interests of the tribal people, so this is the provision. This is the actual provision, which is the correct answer of the question number 10. So that was all regarding the polity. Thank you.
Question number 21. Now, this question says that among the following crops, which one is the most important anthropogenic source of both methane and nitrous oxide? Tricky question, but a very direct and simple question. Any student who has read about the crops and their environmental impacts, which is, something which is very commonly available in various types of literature and sources, then it was very easy to identify. The answer for this question is, of course, rice. Just a moment, please. Yeah, the correct answer is rice, because rice is a widely distributed crop. It is the crop which is covering a maximum area in the world. As far as the growing condition of rice is concerned, we all know that rice needs to be submerged in water throughout its growing period. This crop requires a heavy quantity of water, and right from the sowing of the saplings till the maturity period begins, rice is submerged underwater. It is only during the time of harvesting, or when the crop is now in the maturity phase, that the fields are left dry. Now, as far as methane is concerned, commonly methane is called marsh gas. The common name of methane is marsh gas, because this is the gas which is emitted out from marshy areas, that is those areas where the land is saturated, the soil remains saturated with water. Now, as far as rice cultivation is concerned, we have created the largest marsh in the world. This is the, rather you can say, the largest artificial marsh present on earth in the form of rice fields, and that too particularly in the entire Asiatic region, because Asia is the producer of more than 90% of the total rice production in the world. So either it is East Asia, South Asia, or Southeast Asia. So here we have the biggest marsh, and thus methane is being emitted out. So this is one area. Secondly, as far as nitrous oxide is concerned, nitrous oxides again are emitted out from the soil in the presence of water. And as far as rice is concerned, because of again presence of water on the field, optimum conditions are created for the production of nitrous oxides, and hence this becomes the crop which is the source of both these gases as far as the human conditions or anthropogenic conditions are concerned. So correct option B. Now the second question, this was question number 22, again related to rice only. System of rice intensification of cultivation, in which alternate wetting and drying of rice fields is practiced. It results in what? Reduced seed requirement, reduced methane production, and reduced electricity consumption. You had to choose the correct options out of the given 4 options. Now, let's understand that what system of rice intensification is. This system was developed in late 1980s in Madagascar. Now, what is the basic idea of SRI in this? Maximum focus is upon the use of manures, minimum upon the fertilizers. So natural organic matter is stressed upon. So this is that system in which rice cultivation is done by applying maximum organic matter, leaving the fields intermittently dry in between. The fields are moist but not wet. So this ensures that the fields are never flooded, and there is less of methane production basically going on in this process, and sufficient moisture is available for the healthy growth of the trees. And moreover, single saplings are grown at equal distance from each other, so that each sapling is getting enough space, enough nutrients for their growth. So in generally, square patterned fields at equal intervals, single saplings are grown rather than putting them seedlings, all the seedlings putting them together. So in this case, now once you know, or once you have the idea that what system of rice intensification is, it was very easy to attempt this question by way of ruling out the wrong option. Now, reduce seed requirement, of course, yes, I have already told you in this, single saplings are planted instead of multiple saplings together. Definitely, there is reduced seed requirement. Secondly, reduced methane production, because the fields are never flooded with water. It is not a marsh which has been created. Rather, sufficient moisture is available in the soil, and when we see that the land is drying up, again some quantity of water is put in it. So again, this is leading to less of methane production. While the third case, reduced electricity consumption, no relation as such, because in majority of areas irrigation of rice is basically a natural process. It means that irrigation is not done. Irrigation is basically artificial means of watering the fields, but in majority of the areas rice is growing on its own, because it is a crop which is native to tropical humid regions of the world, where the annual amount of precipitation is relatively very high, and rice grows naturally on its own. So as such, not much connection with the third point. Hence 1 and 2. So option A is the correct answer. Now the next question. This is question number 23. Which one of the following lakes of West Africa has become dry and turned into desert? Again, in this case, I've already told you that, if you have an idea about the regional divisions, you have idea about the regional geography of different continents, this question was very easy to attempt. Because if you know the location of the lakes and their characteristics, so the attempt was quite easy. First of all, Lake Victoria. Now, as far as Lake Victoria is concerned, it is located in the country of Tanzania, and this is the largest lake of Africa, and also the largest lake in the tropical region in the world. So since it is largest lake and located in equatorial Africa, where there is ample amount of rainfall and there are numerous streams which are draining into this lake, so definitely it is not the dry one. So option we have ruled out. Again, Lake Oguta. If we look at this lake, then this lake is located in Nigeria, within the tropical region, within the equatorial region of Niger River. It is close to the Niger Delta, but again, equatorial region, we all know that equatorial region is the hot and wet region of the world, in which there is very heavy amount of rainfall throughout the year. So the location of this lake in the equatorial belt will ensure that there is sufficient amount of water present in it throughout the year. It will never let it remain dry. So this is again the wrong option. Then we have Lake Volta. Now Lake Volta, it is the artificial lake. It is the largest reservoir basically located in Ghana on River Volta. And since it's an artificial lake, there is a dam which has been built upon River Volta. So this Lake Volta is again perennial one. It is having lots of huge volume of water entrapped in it. So this is the wrong option. Now, as far as Lake Fegubin is concerned, this lake is located, on the edge of Sahara Desert. It is located in Mali, and it is lying on the southern edge of Sahara Desert. Now, if you look at Sahara Desert, it is one of the driest areas of the world, largest desert of the world, and south of Sahara lies the Sahel region. And this Sahel region is basically a notorious region as far as droughts are concerned. This area experiences one of the most severe droughts occurring in the world, and this Sahel region extends basically throughout the southern belt of Sahara Desert to the south of Sahara, from West Africa to East Africa. And since the location is basically in that very dry, drought prone area, so Lake Fegubin basically started drying somewhere in 80s because of reduction in the rainfall pattern. Though after the year 2000, the rainfall patterns were again normalized, but by that time the lake had already dried up and it could not be regenerated by the natural process. So hence the correct option is the Lake Fegubin. the next question. This is related to regional geography of the world. The next question is related to regional geography of India. Now, this question asks you, Gandikota Canyon of South India was created by which of the following rivers? Right. Now, if we look at the canyon, Gandikota Canyon, this is also called Grand Canyon of India. This canyon is located near Gandikota village in Kadapa district of Andhra Pradesh. Now, Andhra Pradesh, it is in Andhra Pradesh. Here, we have to rule out the wrong options. Again, if you look at the rivers, this is again pertaining to your regional geography. River Kaveri, primarily flowing in Tamil Nadu, wrong option. River Manjira, this is tributary of Godavari, primarily flowing in Maharashtra, wrong option. River Pennar, this is flowing through Andhra Pradesh, could be it. And then we have River Tungabhadra, which is a very important tributary of River Krishna, but majorly flowing through the state of Karnataka. So again, wrong option, and the correct option is River Pennar. So in this case, the correct answer was option C. Then comes the next question, which is, consider the following pairs. Again, regional geography. Name of the peaks are given, and then the mountains are given. Now we have to find out that which one is, correctly matched. Now, as far as the Himalayan section is concerned, its first question arises that what are the regional division of Himalayas? You must know the regional divisions of Himalayas, which have been divided into 4 segments. First of all, we have Punjab Himalayas. This is the classification which I am telling you belongs to or it was given by one of the famous geologists of India. You can find it in the books like Gopal Singh, written by Gopal Singh, or maybe the book of Geography of India by D.R. Khuller. So here you can find the same division given. So in this case, we have Punjab Himalayas, which basically cover up the Himalayan region of Jammu and Kashmir and Himachal Pradesh. Then we have Kumaon Himalayas. Now Kumaon Himalayas basically include Uttarakhand. After that, we have Nepal Himalayas, and further to the east, we have Assam Himalayas. So this is the 4 major division. So there is nothing as such Garhwal Himalaya as such. It is basically Kumaon Himalaya. So first of all, the basic regional division of Himalayan region itself, we will tell you that which are the correct options and which are not. Now, as far as Namcha Barwa is concerned, whenever we study about this Himalayan region, we talk about the ranges of Himalayas, and we then talk about the Greater Himalayas. If you look at the extension of Greater Himalayas, there are 2 peaks. The western boundary is basically marked by Mount Nanga Parbat, which is presently in POK. And then the eastern boundary of this Greater Himalayan region is marked by Namcha Barwa, which is basically in Arunachal Pradesh. This is here Nanga Parbat. Closer to this, Indus makes a hairpin turn. Here we have the Indus Gorge located, and Namcha Barwa, south of it, river Brahmaputra makes a hairpin turn, and here is the Brahmaputra Gorge located. So this is the eastern edge, and eastern edge of India where? Arunachal Pradesh. So as far as this Garhwal section is concerned, this is in Uttarakhand. So of course this is the wrong option. It has not been correctly matched. Then we have Nanda Devi. Now, as far as Nanda Devi is concerned, of course, it is in Kumaon Himalayas, and Nanda Devi is one of the highest peaks of the world. This is correctly matched in Uttarakhand, and then the third one is Nokrek. Now, Nokrek, and then we have Sikkim Himalayas. In Sikkim, there is no peak with the name of Nokrek. Rather, Nokrek peak as such is located in Garo Hills. Garo Hills in Meghalaya Plateau region. So this is in Meghalaya, nothing to do with Sikkim Himalayas, because Meghalaya Plateau is part and parcel of peninsular plateau of India and it does not belong to the Himalayan region. Though it is having a hilly character, but geologically speaking, it is part of peninsular India. So again, this is the incorrect option, right? So in this case, the correct answer is B. That is 2 only. Rest, the given 2 options are incorrect. Then next question. Again from regional geography. Now this is the regional geography of world. The question says the term Levant, often heard in the news, roughly corresponds to which of the following regions? You know, this term Levant basically for the first time in English was used somewhere towards the end of 15th century. That was like 1497, and Levant is basically a French word which means east, or you can say the entire region which is lying to the east of Italy. Now east basically what? From where the sun rises, right? So it is something like it used to denote that region from where the sun is rising up, or basically sun rises first. So in this case, this Levant, since it is lying to the east, or the area which is lying to the east of Italy, so hence it comprises of all the countries which in present day are Lebanon, Syria, Iran, Palestine, sorry, not Iran, Iraq, Palestine and Jordan. So these 5 countries together are called Levant, and hence as such it is the region along the eastern Mediterranean shore. Rest all the options are wrong because it refers to only the eastern side. So the correct option is A. Now next question. Consider the following countries. Again, regional geography of world, and someone who has minutely studied or even had a care to look at the maps of the political maps of different continents would have been very easily able to attempt this question. Out of these 5 countries, the question is that which countries share their borders with Afghanistan. Now countries in question are Azerbaijan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan. Now in this case, if we look at these countries, then Azerbaijan is located on the western coast of Caspian Sea. Azerbaijan earlier was part and parcel of former USSR. It was only after the disintegration of former USSR that Russia and CIS were created, that is this Commonwealth of Independent States. So these countries like Ukraine, Azerbaijan and the other areas which are located in the vicinity. So clearly this option is ruled out. Then we have the country Kyrgyzstan. Kyrgyzstan is located to north of Tajikistan and does not share any border with Afghanistan. So this is again ruled out. Now as far as these 3 countries are concerned, if you look at their borders, then Tajikistan is located towards northeast of Afghanistan. Turkmenistan is located towards northwest of Afghanistan, and Uzbekistan is located to the north of Afghanistan. It means that 1 and 2, they do not have borders. Again, this question, there was another way of attempting it. Even if you had an idea that Azerbaijan is nowhere closer to Afghanistan, it is not located in the vicinity, or it is not even having a close proximity to Afghanistan, the answer was very much clear, because you rule out A, that is first, and see option A option B and option D is having Azerbaijan as one of the countries. So we know that all these three options are incorrect and we are left with, of course, C. So this question was very easy to attempt only by knowing that Azerbaijan does not lie next to or does not have any border shared with Afghanistan. The next question, question number 28. Now, this is referring to, you can say, economic geography of India, resource geography. With reference to India, consider the following statements. Now, the first statement says, monazite is a source of rare earths. Whenever we talk about resource distribution in India, we always take into consideration, the radioactive material which is present there, because as far as the future plans of India are concerned, they will be based upon thorium. We already have very less uranium, and this is something all of you have studied. So monazite sand is the richest source of thorium. So this is the source of rare earths, of course, because these all radioactive substances are very rare. So this option is correct. The second one, monazite contains thorium. We all know that. Yes, of course, it does contain thorium. The third thing, monazite occurs naturally in the entire Indian coastal sands in India. Though monazite sand is prevalent along the Indian coast, but not throughout all the coastal states of India. Rather, there are few states where we find monazite sand. And this monazite sand is primarily present in the states of Andhra Pradesh, West Bengal, then we have Tamil Nadu, Kerala, West Bengal, and then interior location, that is Jharkhand. No coastal, but that is also found there. So these are the only areas where monazite is available. So in this case, we cannot claim that throughout the coastal region of India, which is also including states like Goa, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, then we have Gujarat. So not throughout, but only through the limited states. So the third option is incorrect. And then we have the fourth one. In India, government bodies only can process or export monazite, of course, because it belongs to this category of rare earths. It comes under the Department of Atomic Energy. It is solely controlled by Government of India, and the administrative bodies formed under Department of Atomic Energy, only they are basically provided with the roles and responsibility of developing and utilizing these rare minerals. So the fourth option is correct. Now, in this case also, if you had known the third point that it is incorrect, you would have definitely identified the correct answer, and the correct answer is B, 1, 2 and 4. Then the next question. In the northern hemisphere, the longest day of the year normally occurs in. This was a direct question, a very simple question, which we talk about whenever we discuss latitudes and longitudes and change in the seasons. Basically, this is a question which is related directly to revolution of the earth around the sun. Now in this case, we know that the longest day of the year normally occurs during summer solstice, and this summer solstice occurs on 21st June. So in this case, first half of the month of June, no, it is rather the second half of the month of June, because it is 21st June, which is the longest day in the northern hemisphere, while it is the shortest day in the southern hemisphere. On this day, the solar radiations fall directly over Tropic of Cancer. Next question. Consider the following pairs. Again, a question related to regional geography of India. Wetlands or lakes and the location. Though all these are basically the wetlands which are included in or under the Ramsar wetland sites. So every place mentioned here is basically a Ramsar site in India. And Ramsar site are basically the wetlands of international importance. So in this case, if you look at the options, Hokera wetland. In Punjab, we do have certain wetlands which are included in the wetland list, like Harike, like Kanjli, Ropad, or Keshopur, Miani Cham. Hokera basically is not in Punjab, it is in J&K. So the first one is not correctly matched. The second one is Renuka wetland, which is in Himachal Pradesh, and it is also having the you can say the significance of the smallest Ramsar site in India. So Renuka wetland in Himachal Pradesh, that's correctly matched. Rudrasagar Lake is basically shared between Meghalaya and Tripura. So again, this is correctly matched. And then the last one is Sasthamkota wetland, which is present in Kerala. It is not in Tamil Nadu, but it is in Kerala. So out of these, only 2 pairs have been correctly matched. So the correct answer to this question is B, option B. That is, only 2 are correctly matched. The next question, again pertaining to resource geography of India. Consider the following states: Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, Himachal Pradesh, Tripura. How many of the above are generally known as tea producing states? Now, as far as tea production in India is concerned, primarily it started with Northeast India. Later on, it has spread in many areas also. But tea is not a crop which is popularly grown in many states of India, because tea is having very specific requirement as far as its growth is concerned. Slopy surfaces, that is hilly terrain, that's one criteria. Another one is relatively mild temperatures, somewhere around 25 to 27 degrees Celsius. Amount of rainfall 100 to 150 centimeters, that's sufficient, right? So if we talk about these conditions where they are prevailing, hilly topography, right? So though the leading producers of tea in India are basically 2 states, that is Assam and West Bengal, especially that Darjeeling and Jalpaiguri districts of West Bengal, but the new areas have also been brought under tea, which is very popular in Eastern India, that is states of Manipur, Meghalaya, then Tripura. So this entire region produces tea. Then we have the region of Western Himalayas, where we have especially the states of Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand, where this production is going on. And as far as South India is concerned, Kerala is an important tea producing area. Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Karnataka, they are the coffee region more as compared to tea region, but Kerala tea is becoming quite popular, right? So in this case, we have Kerala, we have Himachal Pradesh, we have Tripura. As far as Andhra Pradesh is concerned, here the basic conditions which are required for cultivation of tea are not sufficient, because Kerala is having more or less semi-arid, or you can say, the areas where there is a less amount of rainfall. I've already told you that tea requires more amount of rainfall, somewhere between 100 to 150 centimeters, even up to 200 centimeters. So either it is Northeast India, or it is South India, or it is the Himalayan regions, the slopy regions where this amount of rainfall is falling. So in this case, we have only 3 states, that is the correct option is C. The next question, consider the following pairs: reservoirs and the states. So name of the reservoirs are given, the reservoirs which have been created as a result of damming of some river, and the names of the states are given. But look at the question, this is a very tricky question, and if you did not understand the question carefully, I am, I have a feeling that many of the students would have missed this important word out here and committed some mistake. Now, what it is saying, how many pairs given above are not correctly matched? It is not that they are asking you to identify the correctly matched pairs, rather it is now opposite, not correctly matched. So, in this case, first of all, Ghat Prabha. Now, as far as river Ghat Prabha is concerned, it is a tributary of river Krishna. And river Krishna is having its majority of force flowing through the state of Karnataka. So it rises through the western Ghats in Karnataka state, and its tributaries are also originating from there. So Ghat Prabha reservoir is basically not in Telangana. This is wrong. It is in Karnataka. And then we have the second one, Gandhi Sagar reservoir. So Gandhi Sagar reservoir, it has been built, or it has been formed as a result of damming of river Chambal in Madhya Pradesh. So the course of river Chambal is quite mountainous in the upper segment when it is descending down from that Vindhyanchal block and then coming down towards Rajasthan. So here it is correctly matched. It's in Madhya Pradesh. The third one, Indira Sagar. Now, as far as this river is concerned, Indira Sagar Dam or Indira Sagar Reservoir along with Sardar Sarovar. So, these are built across river Narmada. And river Narmada is the major river of Madhya Pradesh. So, nothing to do with this state, rather it is Madhya Pradesh, MP. So, this is also incorrectly matched. And the fourth one is Methon Dam. Now, Methon Dam, Methon is, it has been built across river Barakar. And river Barakar is a river which is originating from Chota Nagpur Plateau region, that is not Chhattisgarh but rather Jharkhand. So, in this case, if you see that how many pairs are not correctly matched, they are 1, 2 and 3. So, the correct option is basically C. So, that's the real answer. And then we have the last question of geography segment belonging to world geography. Consider the following statements. High clouds primarily reflect solar radiation and cool the surface of the earth. And the second option says, low clouds have a high absorption of infrared radiation emanating from the earth's surface and thus cause warming effect. Which of these statements given above is or are correct? In this case, I will first of all tell you the answer and then explain that how the process goes. It is D. Neither 1 nor 2. Both the statements are wrong. Now, in this case, see, here is the earth's surface. Solar radiations, as they come and strike the ground, are absorbed from the ground or in the ground below, and after some time these radiations are emitted out by the surface of the earth as outgoing terrestrial radiations. So these incoming solar radiation is in the form of short wave radiations, while the outgoing radiations are long wave radiations, that is infrared. The role of cloud cover. We know that clouds are basically performing a very important role as far as Earth's heat budget is concerned, because they act as umbrella and they are capable of reflecting the solar radiations up. But now there is a difference, because we have different types of clouds. We have high clouds, we have medium clouds, we have low clouds. High clouds are generally very thin. Why? Because as the elevation increases, the amount of water vapor decreases. And since clouds are made up of water vapor, so higher you go, you find thin clouds, not thick clouds. So high clouds are very, very thin clouds. On the other hand, closer to the surface of the earth, where there is a heavy concentration of, or where there is a heavy amount of water vapor present, we have formation of very thick clouds which are generally cumuliform, right? So we have cumulonimbus clouds, we have altocumulus, we have cumulus clouds, very thick low clouds. Now what happens? These thin clouds, sheet-like clouds, which are very high clouds, are not capable of reflecting the solar radiations. Rather, they allow the solar radiations to pass through them. So the incoming shortwave radiations easily penetrate through the thin high clouds and reach the surface of the earth. On the other hand, low thick clouds are concerned, they do not allow these radiations coming from the sun to reach the ground. Rather, they are reflected back from the tops only. So in this case, you know what happens? The higher clouds primarily reflect the radiation and cool the surface of the earth is wrong, because this is the work which is performed by low thick clouds. On the other hand, now the second point, low clouds have a high absorption of infrared radiations. No. Now this work is basically being done by these clouds, because as the long wave radiations try to move out, these thin clouds are able to absorb the infrared radiations and lead to warming effect. So this instead is the work of low clouds, and this instead is the work of high clouds. That is why both the statements are incorrect. So the correct option is B, right? So this is all about the session, the questions which had been asked from geography in this exam. So I hope that you must have now tallied the questions and accordingly adjusted your score. So I wish you all the best for the results, and I hope that you people are able to come out with the flying colors as far as this exam is concerned. Okay, thank you very much.
Hello everyone, UPSC 2022 history analysis is here. Right? So surprised? Again UPSC खेल गया, अच्छे चेंज किए हैं उसने एग्जामिनेशन पैटर्न में, ठीक है. There are questions, only 2 options correct, only 1 option correct, right? This is nice idea by UPSC and it surprised student, and it is going to make difference. It is definitely going to make difference, right? As far as history paper is concerned, right, there are very few questions which I can rate as moderate, right? Either the questions are tough or they may be easy. If you have studied some books properly, specifically NCERTs, then you can answer around 5 to 6 questions easily, very easily, right? NCERT में से ही बहुत सारे questions आ गए थे, पुरानी NCERTs या लेटेस्ट NCERTs में बात करो, ठीक है, तो उसमें से काफी ज्यादा क्वेश्चंस जो हैं वो आए हुए हैं. तो अगेन यूपीएससी का फोकस जो बेसिक बुक्स पे रहा ही है. Now we are going to discuss this one here, right? That is a very first question, right? Look at this question. In the Government of India Act 1919, the functions of the provincial government were divided into reserved and transfer subjects. Which of the following were treated as reserved subjects, right? Now, just listen carefully. This question belongs to NCERT. It has been clearly mentioned, right? In the old NCERT specifically, it has been clearly mentioned the reserved subjects were law and order, and the second one was finances. This is a word written in NCERT. Now just check it out, right? If we take into consideration this word only, that goes. Is that right? Right. In the next line, they have mentioned the transferred subjects as local self-government. It is a transferred subject, right? So that question is from NCERT. It is to be considered as easy question, right? So your answer 1, 3, 4, your option is C, right? That is the very first question. Then we talk here about again this question, phoneme, right? It is to be read as, you can read it as phoneme, and to be very accurate about the word in Hindi, it is phoneme, right? The phoneme word belongs to specifically Vijayanagar Empire. If we talk about the Vijayanagar Empire, उस टाइम पे जो करेंसी यूनिट्स होती थी उनके लिए यूज होता था. Again, this is from NCERT, right? Again, this question belongs to NCERT only, right? न्यू NCERTs जो है ये उनमें मेंशन किया हुआ विजयनगर एम्पायर में कॉलम बना हुआ है, उसमें उन्होंने मेंशन किया हुआ है पगोडाज एंड सो ऑन. सो दैट इज द coins is the exact answer for this one. Then we further talk here about this question is again from NCERT, and if you have just gone through spectrum, right, you know this question is quite simple. Consider the following freedom fighters. Barinder Kumar Ghosh, right? If you have little bit knowledge about this person, Barinder Kumar Ghosh, then we talk about Yogesh Chandra Chatterjee, Ras Bihari Ghosh. Barinder Kumar Ghosh का नाम आता है, अरविंदो घोष के बड़े भाई थे, ठीक है. तो इनका एक्चुअली 1910 तक 1909-10 तक ये एक्टिव पॉलिटिक्स से बाहर हो गए थे, ठीक है. सो इनमें से जो सबसे मेन नाम आता है स्पेसिफिकली दिल्ली कॉन्स्पिरेसी 1911 के बाद, ठीक है, रास बिहारी बोस का नाम जो है वो गदर पार्टी से जोड़ा जाता है. नाउ लेट मी क्लियर अनदर थिंग, ये मैंने आपको बताया है, बट अगेन NCERT इज मेंशनिंग this name associated with Gadar party only, right? It is again from NCERT question. So this is the third question. There are 16 questions of history, out of which 3 questions, very first 3 questions from where whatever the set is, it is, right, that belongs to NCERT only. We have more questions from NCERT. We have more questions. You talk about this question, right? Cripps mission 1942, right? What they are saying, that constituent assembly would have members nominated by provincial assemblies as well as the princely states, right? And the second one is any provinces which is not prepared accept the new constitution would have the right to sign a separate agreement with Britain regarding its future status. Now the question is, आपको कुछ नहीं करना था, आपको सिर्फ यहाँ पे ये जो ये लाइन है ना, ये लाइन थोड़ी सी भी आपने NCERT में ध्यान से पढ़ी है. It has been mentioned that partly elected from provincial assemblies as well as from nominated from princely states. So this statement turns out to be incorrect, right? That is quite fine. You know the cases of Hyderabad, right, Jammu and Kashmir. So these were under those rules. So answer here is only 2. Again from NCERT, it is again mentioned in NCERT, right? This point has been mentioned in NCERT very clearly, right? Then we go to the next question. It is tough question, right? Tough question. Now see what they are talking about. Jain text. UPSC को प्यार है बुद्धिज्म, जैनिज्म, एंशिएंट हिस्ट्री. स्पेसिफिकली पिछले 2-3 सालों से UPSC is quite focused on जैन बुद्धिज्म, जैनिज्म, मौर्यन एम्पायर. लास्ट टाइम भी अशोका से रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन था, इस टाइम भी आपको अशोका से रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन मिलेंगे, राइट? सो यू हार्डली नो द नेम्स ऑफ एनीवन हियर. आप लोगों ने अगर कोई इनको ध्यान से पढ़ता भी तो शायद आप लोगों ने इनके नाम भी ना सुने हो. दिस इज सम बुद्धिस्ट टेक्स्ट. दिस इज बुद्धिस्ट टेक्स्ट. यू टॉक अबाउट दिस वन. मैं अपनी भी अगर बात करूं, मैंने ये कहीं नाम पढ़े होंगे, बट ओवरऑल मैंने 2 नाम इनमें से पढ़े हुए हैं और 2 का एग्जैक्टली पढ़े होंगे लेकिन वो ध्यान में नहीं है, यही होता है, यूपीएससी हर चीज को ध्यान में नहीं रख सकते. बट दिस बुक इज जैनिज्म बुक एंड इट इज रिटन बाय हेमचंद्र. I mentioned this so many times in my classes, right? So this is one a Jain text, right? Then Avdan Ashtak, right? We do not know about this one, Avdan Ashtak, right? But then we talk about this one, Trishashti Lakshan Mahapuran. This is again Jain text. Right? Now my concern here is what about this one, right? Again, एग्जैक्ट सोर्स नहीं पता यूपीएससी ने कहां से डाला है, बट दिस इज अगेन अ बुद्धिस्ट टेक्स्ट. सो आई होप आंसर इज वेरी क्लियर. दिस मीन्स 2 and 4, ऑप्शन बी इज द राइट आंसर. राइट, अगेन difficult question. I can just consider this one difficult question. Right? नागार्जुन का नाम सुना होगा आप लोगों ने, right? This person, Nagarjun, the Buddhist scholar, right? He was a disciple of Nagarjun. So obviously this statement is incorrect, right? So it is Buddhist, right? Now we talk about Dignag. This person, again नाम मैं फिर से आपको नहीं बोलता कि ये कोई बहुत कॉमन नाम है. ये नाम हाँ, अगर आप लोगों ने मिडिवल इंडिया में या थोड़ा सा जो ट्रांजिशन फेज था एंशिएंट इंडिया टू मिडिवल इंडिया, उनमें अगर आपने रिलीजियस स्कॉलर्स को पढ़ा है तो इसका नाम डेफिनेटली सुनने को मिलता है, राइट? ये 9th 10th सेंचुरी में एक वैष्णव स्कॉलर थे. इफ वी टॉक अबाउट दिस वन, दिस इज 4th century BC. He was a Buddhist scholar, right? So I think there's no problem in finding the answer. Only 2 correct pairs are there, right? Now again, a little bit deep study of the things, right? First Mongol invasion of India happened during the reign of Jalaluddin Khilji. This statement is quite incorrect. आपको इतना अगर भी पता हो, ये बहुत कॉमन सा क्वेश्चन है, ठीक है? The first Mongol invasion took in the time of slave dynasty, right? And if we talk about the Jalaluddin Khilji, it is 1290 to 96 is the time period, right? Again, the second option, right? We are talking about during the reign of Alauddin Khilji, one Mongol assault marched up to Delhi and besieged the city. As far as books are concerned, हम जहां भी इसको पढ़ते हैं, this is little bit confused statement, but let me be very clear, right? Malik Kafur was the person who led the invasion against Mongol, and he stopped them somewhere near river Ravi, right? So they never reached Delhi, right? But still there's little bit confusion about this one. I'll definitely come out with this one, but this portion is correct. This is 100% correct because मोहम्मद बिन तुगलक को स्पेसिफिकली मंगोल्स ने बहुत ज्यादा दुखी किया था, राइट? हालांकि इस टाइम पीरियड में, मैं अलाउद्दीन खिलजी के टाइम पीरियड में बात करूं, ही इज टॉकिंग अबाउट अप टू दिल्ली. आई एम कंफ्यूज्ड अबाउट दिस वन बिकॉज दे डेफिनेटली एंटर्ड इन राजस्थान रीजन, राजपुताना रीजन में उन्होंने डेफिनेटली एंटर किया था, ठीक है? बट अप टू दिल्ली नो वेयर, आई डू नॉट फाइंड दैट राइट. आई एम जस्ट keeping this question as if I consider myself to be a student, I'm just going to leave this question, or I'm just going to mark this answer, right? Let UPSC be clear about that one, right? Now this is again very difficult question, right? So far in my reference books, there's one book which is mentioning about Sayyids, that they are Kuladaran. मेरे रेफरेंस में एक ही किताब है जिसमें मैंने ये वर्ड पढ़ा हुआ है, कुला दरान, एंड सैयद्स वर नोन एज सम, ये अपने आप को ना प्रोफेट मोहम्मद के अनसेस्टर्स बोलते थे, राइट? सॉरी, सक्सेसर्स बोलते थे, ठीक है, सैयद्स. तो उन्हीं में से एक फातिमा बीवी होती थी, उनसे कुछ रिलेटेड है, तो वही चीजें यहाँ पे आती है, ठीक है? अगेन लिटिल बिट डीप क्वेश्चन, राइट? Now this question is, now that question belongs to little bit common sense, right? always remember whenever you are studying history, right, just remember one thing, क्रोनोलॉजी आपके दिमाग में सेट होनी चाहिए. ये क्वेश्चन क्रोनोलॉजी से हो जाएगा. इस क्वेश्चन में कोई बहुत बड़ी तोप नहीं है. ये अगर थोड़ी सी क्रोनोलॉजी पता है, मैं इस क्वेश्चन को फिर से बहुत टफ क्वेश्चन में, मैं मॉडरेट की कैटेगरी में भी नहीं रख रहा है इसको. ये क्वेश्चन इजी है, ठीक है. लुक एट दिस वन, दे आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द डच एस्टैब्लिश्ड डच, राइट. तो हमारे पास इंडिया में जो 5 फॉरेन यूरोपियन कंट्रीज आई थी, ठीक है, उनमें से डच वर द सेकंड टू कम एंड दे अपीयर्ड इन इंडिया इन द ईयर 1602, राइट. एंड वी टॉक अबाउट गजपति डायनेस्टी. यहां पे हमारे पास एक और नाम आता है गजपति डायनेस्टी, राइट. गजपति डायनेस्टी आई थिंक 1541 में खत्म हो गई थी, ठीक है. तो देयर इज नो लिंक, राइट. सो दिस स्टेटमेंट टर्न्स आउट टू बी इनकरेक्ट. दैट इज फाइन. एल्बुकर्क, राइट. ये बहुत कॉमन सी स्टेटमेंट है, राइट, बिकॉज देयर इज कंफ्यूजन अबाउट दिस स्टेटमेंट ओनली. अभी आप इसी स्टेटमेंट को देखिए, आपको ये चीज भी बहुत क्लियर हो जाएगी. यहां पे इन्होंने विजयनगर एम्पायर का नाम लिया हुआ है, राइट. इन्होंने नाम लिया है यहां पे विजयनगर एम्पायर, राइट. मैं यहां पे आपको स्पेसिफाई कर दूं कि ये जो ये मद्रास था, इसका नाम मद्रास पट्टनम होता था, मद्रास पट्टनम. एंड यहां पे चोला डायनेस्टी के भी रूल्स रहे हैं, ठीक है. हालांकि ये जो मद्रास है, इट वाज परचेज्ड बाय द ब्रिटिशर्स फ्रॉम द नवाब ऑफ कर्नाटक, बट ओवरऑल इट इज एस्टैब्लिश्ड ऑन द लैंड फ्रॉम विजयनगर एम्पायर. तो ये अगर ये चोला एम्पायर भी होता तो भी आप इसको करेक्ट कर सकते थे, बट यहां पे लैंड लीज्ड, राइट. 1639 का है ये, 1639 का. अगर मैं विजयनगर एम्पायर की प्रॉपरली बात करूं, ठीक है, क्योंकि ये क्वेश्चन कैन बी कंफ्यूजिंग, राइट, तो वो 1565 बैटल ऑफ तालीकोटा के साथ में खत्म भी हो गया था, लेकिन वो बिल्कुल उजड़ नहीं गए थे. सो दे वर देयर, राइट. सो द राइट आंसर फॉर दिस क्वेश्चन इज 2 and 3, राइट. सो दिस इज बी ऑप्शन, राइट. Then we talk about the next one. Again, difficult question. फिर से टफ क्वेश्चन. अभी आप लोग कोई भी हिस्ट्री पढ़ते हैं, this question would definitely have attempted by only those person whose main subject is history. अभी कौटिल्याज अर्थशास्त्र, अभी हम हिस्ट्री पढ़ रहे हैं या हम कौटिल्याज अर्थशास्त्र को इतना डीप में पढ़ रहे हैं, ठीक है, हमें जनरल आउटलाइन उसका पता होना चाहिए. बट फिर से हम क्वेश्चन को देखें. It is talking about slave, it is talking about slave, and it is talking about slave. Slaves पे ही बहुत ज्यादा बात कर रहे हैं, तीनों ऑप्शंस इस slave में. तो अगेन इट इज डिफिकल्ट, राइट. अ पर्सन कुड बी, मैं बहुत ज्यादा इसको एक्सप्लेन नहीं करूंगा, बट इसमें से यहां पे अगर ध्यान दें आप, ठीक है, अगर किसी को भी जुडिशियल पनिशमेंट मिलती है, ही कैन बी ट्रीटेड एज स्लेव. डन है, करेक्ट है. अ फीमेल स्लेव से अगर उसके मालिक से उसका कोई बच्चा होता है, ठीक है, तो वो लीगली फ्री हो जाती है. दैट स्टेटमेंट वाज आल्सो करेक्ट अकॉर्डिंग टू अर्थशास्त्र. एंड इफ वी टॉक अबाउट दिस वन, ये आप अपने गट से, ये जनरली मैं आपको बताऊं, ये क्या कह रहा है. इफ अ सन बोर्न टू फीमेल स्लेव वाज फादर्ड बाय हर मास्टर, द सन वाज एंटाइटल्ड टू द लीगल स्टेटस ऑफ मास्टर्स सन. छीन लेगा तो ठीक है, अदरवाइज नहीं. बिकॉज चंद्रगुप्त मौर्य की भी अगर हम बात करें तो कहीं ना कहीं उसकी हिस्ट्री ड्यूबियस है, ऑब्स्क्योर है, लेकिन उसको बोला जाता है कि ही वाज समवेयर अ स्लेव सन, राइट. तो उसने वो अधिकार लिया था, छीना था, ठीक है. दैट इज समथिंग हियर. सो आई एम जस्ट गोइंग टू मार्क द आंसर हियर 1 and 2, राइट. अगेन सिंपल क्वेश्चन. अशोका अगेन अपीयर्ड. लास्ट टाइम भी अशोका पे एक क्वेश्चन था, इस बार भी अशोका पे क्वेश्चन है. तो यहां पे आपको, आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट माई सेल्फ, बट वेन एवर आई टीच दिस टॉपिक, मैं सबसे ज्यादा नाम इन्हीं दो के लेता हूं, राइट. ये कलिंगा वॉर, सॉरी कलिंगा एडिक्ट्स भी बोला जाता है इनको. धौली एंड जुगाड़ा आल्सो नोन एज द कलिंगा एडिक्ट्स. आई होप आंसर कहीं ना कहीं क्लियर हो गया होगा. दैट दिस वन इज करेक्ट. कलिंगा इज ओडिशा ओनली एंड दिस वन इज इनकरेक्ट, राइट. तो हमारे पास ये दो तो चीजें बन गई. अब हमारे पास क्वेश्चन आ रहा है कि एरागुडी एंड कलसी. अब मैं फ्रैंकली स्पीकिंग वी आर स्टैंडिंग हियर इन द नॉर्दर्न इंडिया, तो आप लोगों को डेफिनेटली पता होना चाहिए कलसी इज नॉट इन कर्नाटका, इट इज इन नियर बाय देहरादून, उत्तराखंड. एंड एरागुडी वो नाम से क्लियर हो रहा है, इट इज समवेयर इन आंध्र प्रदेश. ये अशोका ने जितने भी अपने बॉर्डर्स, अपना जो भी एम्पायर था उसके बॉर्डर्स पे रॉक एडिक्ट्स लगाए थे, उनमें से ये चीजें हैं. तो हाउ मेनी पेयर्स वी आर मैचिंग हियर? ओनली 2 पेयर्स. राइट, दैट इज द राइट आंसर फॉर दिस वन. देन फर्दर वी टॉक अबाउट, अगेन क्रोनोलॉजी बेस्ड क्वेश्चन है. ठीक है, क्रोनोलॉजी के साथ में आपको नाम भी क्लियर होने चाहिए, बट मैं फिर से इस क्वेश्चन को टफ कहूंगा क्योंकि आप हर चीज याद नहीं रख सकते. ठीक है, इनमें से अगर आपको कोई भी नाम ध्यान में होगा, ठीक है, तो वो राजा भोज का नाम याद होगा, या फिर हो सकता है नाग भट्ट का नाम भी याद हो, वो गुर्जर प्रतिहार का ही था. बट भोजा बिलोंग्स टू द परमार डायनेस्टी, सो दिस वन इज इनकरेक्ट. राइट, एंड नाउ दीज टू, हो सकता है नानुका का पता हो बिकॉज ही वॉज द फाउंडर ऑफ चंदेल डायनेस्टी, बट व्हाट अबाउट जया शक्ति? राइट, दिस पर्सन ऑल्सो बिलोंग टू चंदेल डायनेस्टी. इज इट क्लियर? राइट, so this is again incorrect and we are left here with only 2 pairs are correct. Right, then we go to next question. Again difficult question. संगम लिटरेचर तो आज की डेट में आप ये समझ लीजिए ना, यूपीएससी का बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट बन चुका है. तो यूपीएससी के जितने आप संगम लिटरेचर को आप जितना डिटेल में पढ़ सकते हो उतना डिटेल में पढ़िएगा. और एक और चीज ध्यान में रखिएगा, मैं यूपीएससी के यहाँ पे 2-4 क्वेश्चंस पे आई विल गो बैक टू सम क्वेश्चंस जहां पे यूपीएससी का एक ट्रेंड फॉलो कर रही है यूपीएससी, उसको हम डिस्कस करेंगे. यू टॉक अबाउट दिस वन, राइट, संगम लिटरेचर. राइट, दिस वन आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग हियर अबाउट माय नॉलेज, आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट योर नॉलेज. अगर आपने इसको डिटेल में पढ़ा होगा तो आपको ये चीज पता होगी, अदरवाइज आप इसका आंसर नहीं दे सकते. यू कैन लीव दिस क्वेश्चन. इफ आई वुड हैव देयर ऑन इन प्लेस ऑफ यू पीपल, राइट, आई डेफिनेटली हैव quit this question, but this one is the right answer. Right, Varna system जो है was known to Sangam poet. That was known, that was not in practice. ये ध्यान में रखिएगा. The social classification of Varna system was known, but it was not in practice. Right, that is the answer of this question. We talk about again very difficult question, very difficult question. Right, अभी मैं यहां पे अगर मैं इस योग विशिष्ट की बात करूं या कुछ भी जो भी ट्रांसलेशंस हो रखी हैं रिलीजियस डॉक्यूमेंट्स की, किस चीज में, पर्शियन लैंग्वेज में, ठीक है, उनमें ना हमारे पास एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट नाम आता है दाराशिको का. राइट, ठीक है, दाराशिको तो दैट मीन्स औरंगजेब के साथ का टाइम पीरियड है. तो मेरे पास भी इसका भी सोर्स नहीं पता कि कहां से डाला है ये, पर डेफिनेटली वो एक बुक जरूर पूछ रहा है यूपीएससी हर बार. निजामुद्दीन पानीपति का नाम भी अगर हम बोलें तो ये भी आपको बहुत कम इंफॉर्मेशन मिलेगी इसकी, इवन इफ यू विल जस्ट ट्राई टू लोकेट इट ऑन गूगल और समवेयर एल्स. राइट, अगेन हाईली डिफिकल्ट क्वेश्चन, यू मस्ट क्विट दिस क्वेश्चन. आपको ये क्वेश्चन छोड़ना चाहिए था, बट फिर भी जस्ट फॉर द नॉलेज सेक लेट मी जस्ट टेल यू दैट दिस बुक योग विशिष्टा हैज बीन translated in the year 1602. Right, so 1602 you can imagine whose time period is this one, that is Akbar. Even I myself do not know too much about Nizamuddin Panipati. Right, then we talk here about this one. Look at this question, interesting question. I am finding this question quite interesting. Earlier this question people were considering इस question को डालेंगे कहाँ, ये करंट अफेयर्स का, अरे करंट अफेयर्स हैं कहाँ हैं, जस्ट रीड द क्वेश्चन. वो बोल दिया उसने, एक स्टेटमेंट बोल दिया, द वर्ल्ड्स सेकंड लार्जेस्ट स्टैट्यूस इन सिटिंग पोज ऑफ रामानुज वाज इनॉग्रेटेड बाय प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफ इंडिया एट हैदराबाद रिसेंटली. बोल तो दिया उसने, इसमें करंट अफेयर्स क्या है. बट नाउ लुक एट द अगेन स्टेटमेंट, व्हिच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग स्टेटमेंट्स करेक्टली रिप्रेजेंट द टीचिंग्स ऑफ रामानुज. अब रामानुज मेडिवल इंडिया की उसमें चले जाइए, हिस्ट्री में चले जाइए मेडिवल इंडिया की, रिलीजियस हिस्ट्री स्पेसिफिकली, तो वहां जाके आपको पता चलता है कि रामानुज ने कुछ ना कुछ वहां पे चीजें बोली हैं. उनमें से their Vedas are eternal, logical arguments were essential for the mean of highest bliss, nothing, salvation was obtained through meditation, salvation was meditation, his main focus was bhakti. अभी मेडिटेशन और भक्ति में फर्क समझिएगा. हमारे पास जो मूवमेंट है मेडिवल इंडिया के, उनका नाम ही भक्ति मूवमेंट है. राइट। तो ये जो ये मेडिटेशन है ना, इसकी बात नहीं हो रही। मेडिटेशन एंशियंट इंडिया की बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज थी। अगर मैं महात्मा बुद्ध या महावीर जैन किसी की भी बात करता हूं, देवर emphasizing on meditation, right? But if we talk about bhakti movement, they were emphasizing on devotion. वो अलग बात है कि वो आइडल वर्शिप मानेंगे या नहीं मानेंगे, ठीक है, एग्नोस्टिज्म होगा, वट एवर देयर फॉर्म ऑफ devotion, that is a separate criteria, right? So this answer is this one. Another interesting question: the Prime Minister recently inaugurated new circuit house near Somnath temple at Veraval, right? Which of the following statements are correct? Again going to the history. ये क्वेश्चन करंट अफेयर्स का नहीं है, ये क्वेश्चन हिस्ट्री का है। देखिए, कहीं पे भी कुछ भी इनॉग्रेशन होती है, कुछ भी होता है, आपको उस चीज को पढ़ना जरूर है और उसकी हिस्ट्री जरूर करनी है, ठीक है। सो व्हेन एवर प्राइम मिनिस्टर डिड दिस, आई जस्ट वेंट थ्रू दैट सोमनाथ टेम्पल, ठीक है, आई विजिटेड दिस प्लेस, सो आई नो दैट सोमनाथ टेम्पल इज one of the Jyotirling shrines out of the 12 in India, right? A description of Somnath temple was given by Al-Biruni, quite obvious. That is the book जिसने गजनी को गजनी के जो भी लूट्स वगैरह हैं वो सारा कुछ सोमनाथ टेम्पल की तरफ को क्यों अट्रैक्ट हुआ था वो, राइट। Then further we talk about the प्राण प्रतिष्ठा of Somnath temple, that installation of the present day temple, right? नींव पत्थर रखने की बात कर लीजिए कॉमन शब्दों में। रिलीजियसली दिस नोन एज द प्राण प्रतिष्ठा। इट वाज नॉट डन बाय एस राधाकृष्णन, इट वाज डन बाय द फर्स्ट प्रेसिडेंट, राइट, डॉक्टर राजेंद्र प्रसाद, राइट। सो दिस स्टेटमेंट इज इनकरेक्ट एंड वी आर लेफ्ट विद द टू ऑप्शंस, राइट। अगर तीसरी स्टेटमेंट जैसे इनकरेक्ट होती है, हमारे पास कोई ऑप्शन बचती ही नहीं है, एलिमिनेशन हो गया है, हमारे पास 1 and 2 यही दो बच रही, राइट। So now if I'm just going to analyze, that is all about this one, right? See, modern India, right? Check out how many questions we are getting here from modern India. Modern India के 1, 2 और ये 3 क्वेश्चंस, राइट, और कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं है, 3 क्वेश्चंस मॉडर्न इंडिया में से वो पूछ रहे हैं, ठीक है। अगेन बुद्धिज्म जैनिज्म, देखिए जो भी ट्रेंड चल रहा है, बुद्धिज्म जैनिज्म, मौर्यन एम्पायर एंड गुप्ता एज, एंशियंट इंडिया इज टर्निंग आउट टू बी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, हाईली इंपॉर्टेंट, राइट। और स्पेसिफिकली यहाँ पे जिस चीज की हम बात कर रहा हूँ, ये पर्संस पे क्वेश्चन जरूर आ रहा है, वो हर बार आ रहा है, उनको लिंक करना, कनेक्ट करना, ठीक है। मेडिवल इंडिया एक ही क्वेश्चन है, या इसकी बात करें हम, ये भी एक स्टैंडर्ड सा क्वेश्चन आता है, ठीक है। इसको हम मेडिवल मॉडर्न दोनों में डाल सकते हैं, बट दिस इज फैक्चुअल क्वेश्चन। ये क्वेश्चन, दिस इज अगेन इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन। दे आर डेफिनेटली गोइंग टू आस्क वन क्वेश्चन आउट ऑफ सम बुक। लास्ट टाइम इफ यू रिमेंबर, अशोका पे क्वेश्चन जो था वो उसके थ्योरीज पे था, ठीक है। देयर वाज अ स्टेटमेंट गिवन एंड हु गेव दैट स्टेटमेंट, ऐसा लिखा हुआ था उसमें, बट वो किसी ना किसी बुक से रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन जरूर पूछ रहे हैं, ठीक है। एज फार एज स्टूडेंट्स आर कंसर्न्ड, यू मस्ट इग्नोर दीज क्वेश्चन। तो हमारे पास, अगर मैं एक कॉमन स्टूडेंट के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से बात करूं, तो देयर वर 16 क्वेश्चंस, there were 16 questions and one should comfortably attempt 8, 9. Now there is a history student, he must go to 11, 12, right? 8 से 9 क्वेश्चन बहुत इजीली हो जाते इसमें से, ठीक है, थोड़ा सा एलिमिनेशन लगा के, क्रोनोलॉजी को याद करके, ठीक है। तो मैं अभी एक बार दोबारा आपको इस पे जा रहा हूं, ठीक है, चीजों पे जा रहा हूं, प्लीज चेक इट आउट। ये क्वेश्चन हो जाना चाहिए था 1, यू टॉक अबाउट दिस क्वेश्चन, ठीक है। अगर आपने एनसीईआरटी ध्यान से पढ़ी है, ये क्वेश्चन होना चाहिए था 2, 3, ठीक है, 4, राइट। आई एम जस्ट कीपिंग इट इन द डाउटफुल क्वेश्चंस, राइट। वी टॉक अबाउट दिस इज अगेन डाउटफुल क्वेश्चन, राइट। अगेन दिस क्वेश्चन कैन बी अटेम्प्टेड अगर थोड़ा सा भी इसमें लॉजिकली देखा जाए, ठीक है। मोहम्मद बिन तुगलक को तंग करने वाले मंगोल्स ही थे, ठीक है। 4 एंड 5, 6, ठीक है, 7, राइट, इग्नोर, 8, 9, ये 9 क्वेश्चंस आपके होने चाहिए. दैट इज द एवरेज क्वेश्चन. आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट द एवरेज, राइट. इफ यू आर a history student there may be 2-3 more, राइट. क्योंकि अगर आप हिस्ट्री के स्टूडेंट हैं, आपका मेन सब्जेक्ट हिस्ट्री है, तो आप अर्थशास्त्र और संगम एज क्वेश्चंस को अटेम्प्ट कर सकते थे, राइट. सो दैट इज all about this one. I'm just going to categorize this paper as tough, right? Because इनमें एलिमिनेशन नाम की चीज भी 1-2 क्वेश्चंस में ही लग रही है, राइट. एंड एज यूजुअल यूपीएससी सरप्राइज्ड अस बाय चेंजिंग द पैटर्न. हो सकता है आने वाले टाइम में वो पैटर्न बहुत ज्यादा इफेक्टिव हो जाए, राइट. सो दैट इज ऑल अबाउट दिस वन. गुड डे, ऑल द बेस्ट, हैव अ नाइस टाइम.
Hello everyone, welcome to Eduphore IAS. In this section, we are going to discuss the CSE 2022 Prelims Exams related current affairs questions. So let's start with the first question. The first question reads that with reference to the Ayushman Bharat, just a second, reads that the very first question reads that the Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission, with reference to Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission, consider the following statements. The first statement says that private and public hospitals must adopt it. Okay, let's give a pause here. Must adopt it. Let's first go through the second option, third these statements, and then we will come back to the first, because here the word is must for both public and private. So we'll again come back to this first. Let's hold for a second. First of all, we need to be clear about that Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission was launched in September 2021. You remember that there are too many steps government is undertaking, like National Digital Health Mission and all. So as it aims to achieve the universal health coverage. So firstly, we need to understand that what exactly is the universal, this word. So whenever this word comes around universal, then every citizen of India should be part of it ultimately. Yes, then only it can be called universal, when everybody is getting included. Yes, it has seamless portability. Yes, unless and until it won't facilitate this portability, and that is seamless portability, what is the use of being it a digital mission? Getting that? So that's the reason that 2 and 3 both are correct. The moment you see that 2 and 3 are correct, there are no options which have 2 and 3 as the combinations. So by elimination also we can eliminate, but let's again come back to one. And yes, this is correct that both public and private, it must for both the public and private to adopt this mission. So that's the reason that all 1, 2 and 3 are correct. Let's talk about the next question. This Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. So AIIB came into prominence in 2015, and remember, this one is a China-led Asian Infrastructure Bank, and India too is a founding member, which came into 2015. Next is MTCR. Now, when you talk about MTCR, we can recall that India has been, this is basically a missile technology control regime. So this is basically a missile export related, regime, or which controls the missile exports basically. So that's the reason that India, since India is not a part of NPT, we are clear. But still, because of supports of developed nations like US, France and all, India was inducted as 35th member of this control regime in 2016. Fine. So yes, again India is a member of this as well as this. So 1 and 2 we are clear. Now SCO, you could have seen our external finance minister, our defense minister, our prime minister been attending this SCO, and recently just last year in Iran has been inducted as the member of SCO. So that's why this was in news, and India is a permanent member of SCO. So that's why all 3 are correct. So correct is D option again. Next question. Yes, this one is very interesting. This question is very interesting. By seeing these 5 statements, we might get confused, or you might see it a little bit difficult, question. But this question was not that difficult. Why I'm saying this? I'm saying this because let's first, assuming that we have a little bit knowledge about the Vietnam, because Vietnam, if you remember, during Corona time, during this COVID time period in the last 2 years, especially when the industries were shifting from outshifting from China, their bases, they migrated to, most of them migrated to Vietnam, right? And that's why there was a news during those periods that India is not getting those industries in, those industries are not coming to India. So because of that reason, Vietnam has been one of the fastest growing economies in the world in the recent years. This is true. This seems to be a progressive statement as well. And yes, indeed, Vietnam is one of the fastest growing economy. Now, hold for a moment on this second statement, and let's come back to the third. Vietnam's economic growth is linked to its integration with the global supply chains and focus on exports. Yes, Vietnam is export-led, you can say, economy, developing economy. So yes, 3 is also correct. For a long time, Vietnam's low labor cost, yes, this is the reason that Vietnam has low labor cost and stable exchange rates have attracted global manufacturers. Yes, why? The global manufacturers shifting their base from China to Vietnam, this is the reason. So again, 4th is correct, right? Now, Vietnam has the most productive e-services sector in the Indo-Pacific. Let's pause for a second and assume that we don't, we are not clear about this point for a second. Let's go back to the second. Now we are clear that 1, 3 and 4 are correct. Fine, but still we have a doubt for a moment. So let's come back to the second point. There could be only 2 and 4. So yes, we have 2 in the 2 options. So let's confirm once either statement 2 can be correct or not. So let's again revisit to this point and says Vietnam is led by a multi-party political system. Remember, Vietnam, first of all, is a communist nation. And when this word strikes to your mind, communist, you can take the example of China. China again is a communist nation. So whenever we see that a polity system which has this kind of communist kind of state, which is a communist kind of state, then there cannot be a multi-party system. By implication, there cannot be a multi-party system. So we can easily delete 2, we can easily delete this A and D. Now we are left with 3 and 5. 3 and 5, B, and C is 1, 3 and 4. 1, 3 and 4 we have already shortlisted, but let's again confirm. We can take the chance here that yes, 1 is correct, 3 is correct. So in B option there is no 1, right? So we can go with this, but again, even though we don't have clear-cut knowledge about 5th statement, we can go with C safely. But still, let's confirm. Vietnam has the most productive e-service sector in the Indo-Pacific. Remember, it's talking about e-services in the Indo-Pacific. What about Japan? What about India? No, we also come under Indo-Pacific. So it's not like Vietnam has the most productive. Keep in mind this word, most productive. So yes, even Japan is there. So how can we can say this is a most productive? So that's why even 5 won't be correct. So we are left with just 1, 3 and 4. So that's the answer. Answer is C. Now the next question. Next question is related to the role of coal organization. Coal control organization, basically. This is missing. Coal control organization. So coal control organization is the major source of coal statistics in Government of India. Yes, this is under Ministry of Coal.
Yes, indeed is a major source of coal statistics in Government of India. It monitors progress of development of captive coal and lignite blocks. Yes, correct. Since it is a coal control organization, so obviously it would monitor by by implications the coal and lignite blocks. Now third, it hears any objection to the government notification relating to acquisition of coal bearing areas. Again, this is the correct statement because this is the role. Talking about role, coal control organization is under Ministry of Coal, and why we have established such kind of organizations with the mandate to hear any objection related to the government coal blocks, right? Now the fourth statement, we are clear about 1 to 3, we have 1 to 4 as well. So 3 and 4 cannot be the answer, 1 and 2 cannot be the answer, we are left with that 1 to 3 and 1 to 4. Now let's confirm whether 3 is correct or 4 is correct. We are clear about 1 and 2. Out of these two, there would be one correct statement. So it ensures that coal mining companies deliver the coal to end users in the prescribed time. No, this is a factual information, and this doesn't come under the mandate of, not the mandate of your coal control organization. So that's the reason that 4 cannot be correct, and that's why we are left with just 1, 2 and 3. So the correct option here would be 1, 2 and 3, right? Let's come back to the next question. Let's move to the next question, and that is, the Indian Sanitation Coalition is a platform to promote sustainable sanitation and is funded by, here is the key, funded by the Government of India and the World Health Organization. Now, the moment says that Indian Sanitation Coalition, so we need to remember that this is the coalition of, let's say, states or state, that is government, and NGOs, at the same time civil society. It is indeed funded by the government, but not by the World Health Organization. That's why this statement is incorrect. Let's come back to the second point. National Institute of Urban Affairs, that is new. National Institute of Urban Affairs is an apex body of the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs in Government of India and provides innovative solution to address the challenges of urban India. It seems to be a progressive statement. It might seem that yes, in first reading this seems to be a correct statement, but mind it, this is not an apex body. This was instituted in 1976, but not an apex body of the ministry. Rather, new is a think tank like Niti Aayog, think tank, and not an apex body of the ministry. So that's why even this statement is not correct. So we are left with none of the correct. So the answer is D, that is neither 1 nor 2. Let's move to the next question. With reference to the United Nations Credentials Committee, now focus on the wordings, credentials. Consider the following statement. It is a committee set up by the UN Security Council and works under its supervision. Now, Credential Committee of the United Nations has nothing to do with UNSC, that is United Nations Security Council. So the moment we are clear with this, we can safely delete option 1. Next is traditionally meets in March, June and September every year. But remember, if you can recall that our Prime Minister, this Prime Minister addressed the United Nations Annual General Assembly. So Annual General Assembly of United Nations takes place every year in the month of September, and this particular United Nations Credential Committee basically meets just before this annual session, that is just before September, and not thrice in a year. So again, this is wrong. This seems to be a factual information. It assesses the credentials of the UN member before submitting. Yes, Since it's a credential committee, so it assesses the credentials of UN member before submitting a report to UN General Assembly. Yes, it basically assesses the, for example, credentials of our or any country's permanent representative or the envoy to the United Nations. Clear? So it is a committee set up under UNGA and not UNSC. Clear? So UNGA, that's why first wrong. It meets just before September, that just before the annual session of UNGA. So that's why even 2 is wrong, and we are left with just 3. So just 3 is correct. Fine? Yes, only 3 is the correct answer. Next question. Which one of the following statement best describes the polar code or the polar code? Yes. Firstly, we need to be clear about that this code has been given by IMO, that is International Maritime Organization. Remember, with climate change, we see that there has been, there is melting of glaciers especially in the polar regions, especially the north and south poles. So let's first read the statements. First is, it is the International Code of Safety for ships operating in polar waters. Yes, it is the code for ships operating in the polar regions. Why? Because as I said that there is melting of glaciers because of the climate change. So every country wants to exploit these regions. These are the new, you can say the newer regions, or these regions could become the newer source of natural resources. So that's the reason that every country wants to get there, and that's because of and they are sending their ships and all. So because of that, this has been mandated, or this code has been released related to the safety of ships. Basically this deals with the construction, design and equipments and all related to the ships, so that it can be safe, it can safely be engaged in the shipping and all activities. So this is yes, true. So the answer is 1 only, I mean this A itself. Next is, with reference to the United Nations General Assembly, consider the following statements. United Nations General Assembly. The UN General Assembly can grant observer status to the non-member states. Yes. For example, Palestine is not a state, as say it is not a member state of UNGA, rather it is a non-member state, because Palestine is not yet a full-fledged state or a nation. So example could be Palestine here. Intergovernment organizations can seek observer status in the UNGA. Yes, this is very much true. Why? Because if you can recall, just few months back, recently, I mean this year only, this ISA, that is International Solar Alliance, got this status from this observer status from UNGA. So yes, it is an intergovernmental organization. Next is, permanent observers in the UNGA can maintain missions at the UN headquarters. Yes, this is the privilege of an observer status holder member or any intergovernmental organization, that they can open their headquarters in the UNGA secretariat. So again, this is correct, this is correct, this is correct. So all 3 are correct. So the correct option is D. Let's move to the next question. With reference to the tea board in India, consider the following statements. This seems to be a factual question. The tea board is a statutory body. Yes, it is indeed a statutory body, because Tea Act of 1983 was passed to make this body an statutory body. So yes, it is the regulatory body attached to the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare. No, it is not a regulatory body, rather it is the state's agency or the government's agency. It's a state agency. The tea board head office is situated in Bengaluru. No, this is situated in Kolkata. Fine. The board has observer overseas offices at Dubai and Moscow. Let's give a pause here and think that we are not clear about, might be we are not clear about 2-3 options here, because this is purely a factual kind of question. But let's assume that if we have, let's first, we have eliminated option 3. If we have little bit even, because Bengaluru, Karnataka, let's think for a moment that in Bengaluru, is Karnataka a major producer of tea, right? So no. So because of the answer no, this very much seems to be, we can, just with our back, this informations, with the information pool in our mind, we can think think for seconds and say that the tea board head office should be in either Assam or Darjeeling side. Darjeeling is in West Bengal, right? So that's the reason that Bengaluru cannot be the answer, even though we presume that Assam could be the answer. So by this kind of reasoning, we can eliminate safely option 3. The moment we eliminate 3, we can cut this, we can cut this. Now we are left with 2 and 4 and 1 and 4. So see, this is very much clear that 4 would be there in our answer. 4 cannot be eliminated. 4 is 100% correct, because 4 is there in both the options. So yes, since the moment we are clear that this is a statutory body, we can go with 1 and 4. And as I said, second is not a regulatory body, rather is a state's agency. It's autonomous, or you can say, this statutory body. So that's the reason the correct answer is 1 and 4. The correct answer is 1 and 4. Now the next question, greenwashing. Yes, greenwashing. This is a very interesting, concept. Greenwashing. So what could be the greenwashing? Greenwashing. Conveying a false impression that a company's products are eco-friendly and environmentally sound. Yes, this is the correct. Why? Greenwashing is a market practice, remember, because we as a consumer have become, conscious over the time about the environment, and we generally prefer nowadays this environment friendly products. And because of this demand for environment friendly products, what generally manufacturers or the this sellers does, they manipulate or they exploit this kind of this sentiments, and they generally give the false impression that companies' products are eco-friendly and environmentally sound, so that as a consumer you can purchase. So this is called greenwashing. Consider the following statements. Yes, this question I would say seems to be very much factual, at the same time seems to be a difficult one. Why? Because this was not recently in news. This could be 2-3 years old, news. But let's read. BDBD is a large refugee settlement in northern western Kenya. Now we need to be, this is purely factual. Now we need to have clarity about whether it is in Kenya or not. But firstly, this gives the impression that the whole question is about the large refugee camps, right? Especially in the Africa. So let's first see. This is not in Kenya. This is rather in Uganda. Some people who fled from South Sudan civil war live in BDBD. Yes, those who fled from South Sudan during civil war, they live as refugee in BDBD, refugee camp. Some people who fled from civil war in Somalia live in Dadaab refugee complex in Kenya. Yes, this again is correct. So this only is wrong, both are correct. So the correct statement would be 2 and 3. This was rather a factual question. Next, consider the following countries. Yes, Armenia, Armenia, Azerbaijan was in news because of Nagorno and Karabakh, this conflict. But this is not the context. Let's first talk about the organization of Turkic states. So organization of Turkic states is established. This organization came into prominence due by the nations which once used to be the part of your Ottoman Empire. Ottoman Empire, the Turkish Empire, right? So yes, Turkish Empire. Now we need to find out that which members are the part of this organization. So which are those? First, Armenia cannot be the part of this organization, right? Because if you see the map, Armenia doesn't share this kind of, this is not exactly in the neighborhood of Armenia, this Turkey. So majorly there are this is a 5-member block or organization. 5-member block or organization. So 5 members कौन से हैं? First, Armenia is not there. Okay. Croatia and Romania is even not there. The members are Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Kyrgyzstan or Kyrgyz Republic. Then we have Uzbekistan, and then we have this. Yes, we have this Azerbaijan. Uzbekistan and Azerbaijan. So we have total, and obviously Turkey would be there. So that's 5. Turkey, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, this Uzbekistan and Azerbaijan. Remember here, Azerbaijan is there but not the Armenia. Clear? So 2 and 5 is correct answer. This was again, you can say, a factual kind of question. Next is an easier one. Gujarat has the largest solar park in India. Remember, this one is you can say a proposed one in the run of Kutch, but not exactly at present. At present, Rajasthan has the largest solar park in India. Kerala has a fully solar powered international airport. Yes, even we are not clear about 1 and 3, we are very much clear about 2. Because Kerala, the place is called Kochi. Cochin or Kochi does have this fully solar powered international airport in the world, not just in India. So that's why this second statement is correct, very much correct. Next is Goa has C. The moment we eliminate 1 and we are sure about 2, we can easily say that there is 2 and 3 is not the option. So we can easily eliminate this 1 and 3 because Rajasthan and Gujarat. We can easily eliminate, since 1 is not correct, 1 and 2 cannot be there. Now 2 and 3, we are sure about 2. So yes, 2, because we don't have any this kind of option where both are given as a combination, that is 2 and 3. So yes, only correct option is 2. Even though we see Goa has the largest floating solar photovoltaic project in India. No, it's not Goa, rather it's Andhra Pradesh. Fine. So that's the reason the only correct option here is B. Next, with reference to the United Nations Convention on the Law of Sea, consider the following statement. Yes, this not exactly is the current affairs question, but the context is current. That's why we have kept it here. A coastal state has the right to establish the breadth of its territorial sea up to a limit not exceeding 12 nautical miles. Yes, we are very much clear, and whenever we read this in geography, we have studied this concept very much, many a times in geography, that yes, a nation has exclusive, that is territorial or sovereign right from the baseline up to 12 nautical miles. So this is correct. Ships of all states, whether coastal or landlocked, enjoy the right of innocent passage. Yes, now because this is very much this current context, because if you can recall, a ship of USA passed through our territorial water without any seeking permission or even informing Indian dignitaries, authorities. So that's the reason this was the context for the current. So yes, innocent passage, yes, without involving in any anti-state activities like in terror or any kind of this piracy kind of smuggling. Yes, innocent passage is there. Innocent passage is permitted under this law. So even 2 is correct. Now 3, exclusive economic zone shall not extend beyond 200 nautical miles from the baseline from which the breadth of the territorial sea is measured. This again seems to be a correct one, because we generally find that this figure 200 nautical miles in the books as well, we have studied it as well, but this is not, shall not extend beyond. Yes, this seems to be a negative statement. Shall not extend, this can extend, and India is even asking for extending its this EEZ. So this could extend up to 350 nautical miles and not could be just limited to 200 nautical miles. This is again a factual one. So this is incorrect. So we are left with only 1 and 2 as correct. Fine. Now the next question. Again, this is an easier one. Senkaku Island. So this has been very much in news. Senkaku Island. So yes, it is generally believed that they are artificial islands made by a country around South China Sea. No, this is basically this island. China and Japan have this conflict over this island called Senkaku Island, located in Eastern China Sea, East China Sea. Fine. So this was an easier one. This seems to be a little difficult one, because there are a lot of factual informations. Chad setting up a permanent military base by China. No, China is not setting permanent military base in this Chad, rather it is setting permanent base in Guinea, Papua New Guinea. So first is incorrect. Second, Guinea, suspension of constitution and government by military. Yes, this is very much correct. This had been in news. Lebanon, severe and prolonged economic depression. Yes, more than 78% of the population of Lebanon has been affected by this economic depression. So yes, this is also correct. Then is Tunisia, suspension of parliament by president. Yes, this also is correct one. So we have, see, this time UPSC has changed the kind of options, like it's not given like 1 to 3, 2, 3, 4, 1 to 1 and 2. So we have only 3 pairs as correct, 1, 2 and 2, 3 and 4. 1 is wrong. So that's the reason that only 3 pairs are correct here. Now the next question. Anatolia. You would have read about Anatolia Peninsula, which is part of Turkey. The other is Asian Minor. So Anatolia and Anatolia Peninsula. Now Amhara is in Ethiopia. Yes, if you have had this information related to Tigray region in Ethiopia, yes, it's a conflict, kind of civil war there. So Amhara or Tigray region, you could easily eliminate that. Ethiopia, this seems to be a correct one. Cabo Delgado. Remember Catalonia. Let's first come to fourth option, Catalonia. Generally, repeatedly we listen or we repeatedly see in a news, or we get this Catalonia, that this country is located in where? This place is basically located in Spain. So Catalonia is in Spain. The moment we are sure about the Catalonia, we can easily delete 4, cannot be correct. We can easily delete 3 as well, because 3 is wrong, because this Cabo Delgado is rather situated in Mozambique. Mozambique, and not in the Spain. Fine. So that's the reason that only 2 pairs are correct, that is 1 and 2, and 3 and 4 are incorrect. So that's why the only corrected, that's it. Okay. So that's it. There had been around 20 questions this year from, you can say, current affairs. So that's it from my side. Thank you.
Hello students, greetings from Eduphore IAS. I am Mayank Mudgil and I shall be taking Science and Technology and Environment portions. Roughly the exam was basically from medium to a little bit difficult side, I would like to say. Although Science and Environment sections were a little bit on the average side itself, probably leaning towards the easier side. But having said that, the other subjects which were there, they were quite difficult, and the options which UPSC has now given so as to eliminate the elimination tricks themselves, that is something which has increased the difficulty level of the examinations. So we will take up the question and we will see how we can tackle the questions and how we can do it. So the first question here is Science and Technology. Which of the following is the context in which the term qubit is mentioned? As we know that qubits are quantum bits. Quantum bits. Those that can have 0 and 1 value at the same time. So this means that the correct answer is quantum computing. The next question here is, consider the following communication technologies: closed circuit television, radio frequency identification, wireless local area network. We know wireless local area network is the Wi-Fi technology that is in our homes. We know that RFID technology is used in our cars. The fastway tag, it is working on the RFID technology itself, and now with the Kavach technology, as has been introduced by our Indian Railways, is also working on RFID technology. And we have CCTV. Let us read the question first here. Which of the above are considered short range devices and technologies? तो हमें we need to see कि short range technologies कौन कौन सी है. We know that Wi-Fi is short range only, long range नहीं है. Short range generally क्या होता है कि it is up to a few meters. और जो long range होती है they go in kilometers and farther. So Wi-Fi it works in our home only, वो ज़्यादा नहीं होता. The 3 statement is right. Radio frequency identification. When we take our car nearer to the camera or the sensor during our toll collection and toll booths, then the amount gets deducted. So short range. CCTV, it is both short range and long range. So we cannot eliminate this because C, which of the above are considered short range devices? So it works both as short range and long range. So this is also correct. There is a thing that some people are saying that because this is long range as well, so this might not be the answer, but it works perfectly in short range. So the answer here is D. Next we have is about biofilms. See, some of the questions that we see, they come out of nowhere. We think about that, but these have some part in the static part as well, and these have some part in the current part as well. So it is all mixed and matched when UPSC considers the questions. So let us read the question. Consider the following statements. Biofilms can form on medical implants with human tissues. Biofilms can form on food and food processing surfaces. Biofilms can exhibit antibiotic resistance. Which of the following given statements above are correct? Now, ये bio related topic है.
So if you know what biofilms are, you can do it. But let's just say that it's a general studies paper. Let's just say that you don't know anything about biofilms. So let us do something here. Bio plus films. Okay. So bio means something which is considered as life forms or has organic molecules in it or organic component in it. And film is something which is a covering on any surface. So with our limited understanding, biofilms is something which is made up of or which has an organic character and forms a covering on other substances. So biofilms can form on medical implants with human tissues. This is correct. The example is the plaque which forms on our teeth, the yellow part especially, it is made up of bacteria. So that is a biofilm. Biofilm can form on food and food processing surfaces, perfectly fine. Biofilms can exhibit antibiotic resistance. This is perfectly fine as well, because see, understand, biofilms in general are made up of bacteria, they are made up of fungi mainly, and there are other materials as well. But these we need to understand. So fungi also has antibiotic resistance properties. So the correct answer should be D. Next question. Consider the following question about with respect to probiotics. Probiotics, we know we take them to improve our gut health. But then again, let's just say that you do not know what probiotics are. So just break the word pro and biotics. Pro means something which is in favor of something, and biotics again organic life and organic molecules. So with that limited, generally we are supposed to know what probiotics are, but let's just say we are not aware about it. So let's understand the question. Probiotics are made of both bacteria and yeast. It is perfectly fine because बैक्टीरिया हमारे गट में बैक्टीरिया होते हैं which helps our digestion, and yeast, this is present in curd as well, in yogurt as well. So this is correct. The organisms in probiotics are found in foods we ingest, but they do not naturally occur in our gut. This is wrong. We have gut bacteria, and then probiotics help in the digestion of milk sugars. This is also correct. So when we eliminate 2, we have 1 and 3. The correct answer is C. Next question. In the context of vaccines manufactured to prevent COVID-19 pandemic, consider the following statements. Now this is something which requires very good understanding of what is happening around you. So you need to understand that only bookish knowledge is not going to get you to towards the cutoff. You need to know what is happening around you. The main vaccines that we have in India is the Covishield, which is made by Serum Institute. We have Sputnik V by Russia, which is being manufactured locally, and Covaxin, completely indigenously made. So, but mRNA vaccines, वो मॉडर्ना वाली वैक्सीन है, इंडिया में mRNA वाली वैक्सीन अभी नहीं है. जो होगी वो जाइडस कैडिला बनाएगा, दैट इज अ डिफरेंट स्टोरी. सो सीरम, दिस वन ऑप्शन इज रॉन्ग. दिस 2 and the 3 option are correct. Sputnik V is vector based platform and Covaxin is inactivated pathogen based vaccines. These 2 are correct. So the answer is 2 and 3. Next, if a major solar storm, see now this question in itself is very big, and you can see that this might require much of your time, but if you can do some intelligent guesswork and you can make up some elimination tricks, this question becomes very easy. If a major solar storm reaches the earth, which of the following are possible effects on earth? We have read about coronal mass ejection, we have read about solar flares. So these are tiny particles, charged particles, which interfere with the electromagnetic radiations which we have on the earth. So whatever is the electromagnetic phenomena which is happening on earth, it will interfere with that. So GPS and navigation systems could fail. Yes. Tsunamis could occur at equatorial regions. Now see, tsunamis, they have seismic origins, which is from inside the earth. Nothing outside the earth can cause a tsunami. Obviously an asteroid impact can, but it is not being talked about here. So this option naturally is wrong. Now in my understanding, if you are very intelligently working towards a question, you need not read any other option, because 2, 2, 2. When you eliminate, 3 options get eliminated, you get C. But we are going to consider other options as well. Power grids could be damaged. Yes. Intense auroras could occur over much of the earth. That is also correct. Forest fires could take place over much of the planet. Now this can happen, but it is a very, very, very remote possibility, and it is not going to happen. Theoretically it is possible, practically it is absolutely not possible. So we are going to put a cross on this option. Orbits of the satellite could be disturbed. Yes. Shortwave radio communication of aircraft flying over the polar regions could be interrupted. Yes. So the correct option is C, 1, 3, 4, 6 and 7. Next we have, now this question is something which requires a very deep understanding of NFTs. Because we'll see here, generally you need to have a very general understanding of what NFTs are, but the statements which are given in the question, they are very specific. Let's see. With reference to non-fungible tokens, NFTs, consider the following statements. Now before jumping to the statements, let us first have a background of what NFTs are. Non-fungible, non-tangible, somehow. So these are digital representations of the assets that you have, and which are made using the blockchain technology. We all know how NFTs are warming up the market in all over the world. So these are a very natural topic for UPSC as well. They enable the digital representation of physical assets. Now this is perfectly fine. Some people say that physical assets are not there, but these are digital assets. But we need to understand and appreciate one fact, that let's say that you have a coin and you want a digital render made of it. Let's say you have a 5 rupee coin and you want to make a digital render of it. So you go to your design instruments using the blockchain technology and you make a 5 rupee coin in the computer itself. When it is made and it becomes a non-fungible token, it is a perfectly physical asset and it is being digitally represented. So this option is perfectly fine. They are, statement 2, they are unique cryptographic tokens that exist on a blockchain. This is also correct. Now C option. They can be traded or exchanged at equivalency and therefore can be used as a medium of commercial transactions. Now see, it is totally up to UPSC what it considers as a commercial transaction. As far as we are concerned here, they can be traded or exchanged at equivalency. This is fine, but therefore they cannot be used as medium of transactions. They cannot, because they are not legal tender as of now. But having said that, there are transactions being done all over the world whereby NFTs are being exchanged as a system of barter transactions. So if UPSC expands its horizon, then this option should be correct. But if it goes by a very textbook definition, then this option is wrong. But so we are going to go India specific knowledge. So India specific knowledge, they are not traded as commercial transaction. Absolutely not. So we are going to eliminate the third option, and by elimination, the correct answer is A, 1 and 2 only. Now the final answer will obviously be told by UPSC, but this is as close as we get. Then we have is which of the following statements best describe the role of B cells and T cells? This is a pretty much straightforward question. We don't need to discuss anything much about it, because this is something which has been in the newspapers. This is something which is in the NCERT as well. The correct option is D. They protect the body from diseases caused by pathogens. These B cells and T cells are natural reactions, and they naturally occur in our body to fight the pathogens. Next, consider the following statements DNA barcoding can be a tool for. Now this technology, it had a article, there came an article in Hindu about DNA barcoding. In Indian Express also it came somewhere around July or February. So, but we need not go much into that. So we need to, what is DNA barcoding? There are DNA strands. What DNA does is it helps us to identify a species or identify an organism, the correct organic structure and the genome sequencing. So what we do is we take a strand of DNA and we turn it into a barcode. हमारे किसी भी product में, you go and buy a chips packet, you go and buy a biscuit packet, it already has a barcoding on it. So the data is transferred into a barcode, the DNA data. So that is simply what is DNA barcoding. Now let's see the options. Assess the age of plant or animal. A DNA does not tell the age of an animal or an organism. So this is wrong. Although it can be done theoretically again for very, very, very old tree species as a very substantive measure, but this is prima facie, it is wrong. It cannot be used to assess the age of a plant or an animal, because DNA does not have any information regarding to the age of the organism. Now, distinguish among species that look alike. Now, this is perfectly fine. If we need to differentiate between two species, you get their DNA and see, and the DNA will be different and you can distinguish between them. So, that second statement is correct. The third statement, to identify undesirable animal or plant material in processed food. Now this DNA barcoding commercially is done only to do this thing, to solve this purpose. Wherever there is adulteration or there is any unwanted plant or food material or animal material in our processed foods, DNA barcoding is used, and whatever the adulterations are, we remove that. So 3 option is correct. The correct answer is D, 2 and 3. Next, we are over with our science part. So as we can see, the questions were pretty straightforward. Let's just have a look at it. The questions were pretty straightforward. Now you need to develop, what this shows is we need to develop a basic understanding of the concepts. It is perfectly fine if you don't know the depth of it. You just need to understand what is there, and then you look at the options and then you play the options. You play the question itself to get to an answer. So overall the science part was pretty much on the easier to average side. And now we shall move to the environment section. Now the environment section is something which is being under increased focus of UPSC, because it is already going on so much at the world stage, at the national stage, even our government, the UN bodies, we have Rio Summit and Paris Climate Agenda as well, the recent Glasgow Summit as well. It is increasingly under the scanner. So we need to understand that we need to strengthen our environment part, because the environment, geography, some part of international relations, world bodies and science and technology, they are being formed into single questions, and you need to understand and gather the knowledge to finally solve the question. So this environment is not a single subject in itself. It traverses towards many other subjects, and it is very, very, very important. Now, let's see the question first. if rainforest and tropical forest are lungs of the earth, then surely wetlands function as its kidneys. Which one of the following function of wetlands best reflect the statement? Now this is a very beautiful question. You need to appreciate this fact, because the rainforests are the lung of the earth, we know that, and the wetlands, as per the statement and in general as well, they are termed as the kidneys. Now let's see the options first. The first one is water cycle in wetland involves surface runoff, subsoil percolation and evaporation. Prima facie this is correct, there is nothing wrong in this option. Next, algae form the nutrient base upon which fish, crustaceans, mollusks, bird, reptiles and mammals thrive. Again, nothing wrong with this statement. This is a perfectly fine statement. C option. Wetlands play a vital role in maintaining sedimentation balance and soil stabilization. Again, a very important and a very right statement. Next, aquatic plants absorb heavy metals and excess nutrients. Again, this is correct. Now, all the four options are correct. Now, we go to the question again. Which one of the following function of wetlands best reflects the above statement? Best reflects. So, best and kidneys. What kidneys, what function do kidneys do in our body? It is to filter out the excessive and the unwanted materials from our blood. It purifies our blood. So, kidney removes the unwanted materials. So, if wetlands are to be called as kidneys, they need to remove the unwanted materials. Now, 1 and 2 option do not relate to it at all. So, we are going to eliminate that. See option C. Wetlands can play a vital role in maintaining sedimentation balance and soil stabilization. Now, this does not do anything good to the environment itself so that it can be called as a kidney. So, this option also we remove. The last option, aquatic plants absorb heavy metals and excess nutrients. The heavy metals are being removed from the environment. Excess nutrients are being absorbed from the environment, removed from the environment, which function as kidneys. So, the D option is correct. Next, with reference to polyethylene terephthalate, the use of which is so widespread in our daily lives, consider the following statements. Before seeing the questions, before seeing the statements, now I am pretty sure most of the people, only someone who is from a science background will be knowing what polyethylene terephthalate is. Let's say you don't know that. See, P from poly, ethylene E, terephthalate T. This is how the organic molecules actually are named. We have in environment as well, we have read about PAN, polyacetyl nitrate. So we can see that the word coming is PET, PET. Now we have PET bottles around us, right? So what it generally does is, there are fibers of polyethylene terephthalate or PET. These fibers are then made into the bottles or the other things. So now let's see the statements. Its fibers can be blended with wool and cotton fibers to reinforce their properties. This is correct. It is used in the synthetic cotton and the synthetic wool and the synthetic fibers that we have, synthetic clothes that we have. Containers made of it can be used to store any alcoholic beverage. When you think about alcohol, you think about the general alcohols which are present in the market. But you need to appreciate this fact that this question is from environment and from science. Alcohol in general is ethyl alcohol, right? Or ethanol. 100% ethanol is something which can be stored in very, very, very strong containers. In general नहीं होता है वो इतनी किसी भी material के अंदर. So when the word any comes, so this should ring in your mind that any means every. So it is probably not a response, not a correct option, and we need not go into the depths actually. It cannot store certain alcoholic beverages or solutions. That is perfectly fine, but you need not go into that. C, bottles made of it can be recycled into other products. This is correct because this is again an organic molecule, so it can be done. Articles made of it can be easily disposed of by incineration without causing greenhouse emissions. Now again, it is a very extreme statement. Whenever something is burned, the greenhouse gases emissions do come. So this should also ring. You should safely eliminate 2 and 4 option, and you are naturally going to get 1 and 3, which is option A. Moving forward. Which of the following are nitrogen fixing plants? Now again, this is something from the background of those who have done their bachelor's or master's from agriculture. So if you don't know it, just leave. This is a very good example of a question which you should purely leave and do not even try to attempt. Generally what people do is ki almost every option should be correct, but this is not such. In this case, the correct answer is 1, 3 and 4. Alfalfa, chickpea and clover. Okay, the other options are wrong, and now you can say that we can Google it or do it, or you can remember it. But if you are going to remember such things, then I think these are not practical with respect to the UPSC preparation. So this is a no harm question, just leave it. The correct answer though is A. Next we have the question is, which one of the following has been constituted under the Environment Protection Act? Very straightforward question. The answer is Central Groundwater Authority. Central Groundwater Authority has been in the news for 2 years now, especially with regards to the groundwater use rules, which was notified by the central government. Do read about that as well, because those are also very important, especially with respect to the mains answers, which you can write in the mains exam. So the correct answer is Central Groundwater Authority. Next question. With reference to Indian laws about wildlife protection, consider the following statements. Wild animals are the sole property of the government. This is correct. Even there was a Supreme Court judgment of 2012, around 2011-2012 as well, which said that the wild animals which are there in the wild, they are the sole property of the government. This is perfectly fine. When a wild animal is declared protected, such animal is entitled for equal protection whether it is found in protected areas or outside. This is also a correct option. Now see the third option. Apprehension of a protected wild animal becoming a danger to human life is sufficient ground for its capture or killing. Only apprehension. If you can apprehend that this wild animal may harm me, then I can kill it. This is a wrong statement, because otherwise there would be no point of protecting lions or tigers. So the correct answer is 1 and 2, option A. Next we have is, certain species of which one of the following organisms are well known as cultivators of fungi? Cultivators of fungi. Now this is a type of a question. If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. Better to leave such questions. The correct answer is ants. There are certain ant species who cultivate fungi in their colonies as food or for food or other purposes. The next question, it is a pretty straightforward, a pretty easy, and I would say a low hanging fruit. These questions, they increase your marks in the paper. So the question is, consider the following: carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxide, ozone, sulfur dioxide, excess of which of the above are causes of acid rain? We know nitrogen oxide and sulfur dioxide. Nitrogen oxide, it forms HNO3, which is nitric acid, and sulfuric dioxide, it forms H2SO4, again a very dangerous acid. It damages our skin, it damages our monuments, it damages the concrete structures, many things. So the correct option will be 2 and 4, the option B. Next, consider the following statements. Other than those made by humans, nanoparticles do not exist in nature. Nanoparticles, again, it is now into the paper as well. Nanoparticles have been in the news, into the research for so many years, and it is such a big concept because a nano urea plant was also recently inaugurated by our honorable Prime Minister. So the nanoparticles generally are very important subjects as far as the environment and the science and technology aspects are concerned. Now see, nanoparticles are beneficial for the environment. They are derogatory as well in certain cases. So this is a perfect example of the confluence of science and technology and environment. Okay. So the first option is correct. It is wrong. Nanoparticles do exist in nature. There are certain ferric oxides which exist as nanoparticles in the nature, in their natural form. Nanoparticles of some metallic oxide are used in the manufacture of some cosmetics. Metallic oxides in the use of cosmetics. Now this is correct. I'll give you an example. Mercury, you must have read in your art and culture and ancient and medieval that the people of Indus Valley civilization, they used HgO2, which is mercuric oxide, as lipstick. So this is an example which has been in use by the humans since those times, since 5,000-6,000 years ago. So this is correct. Now the third option, nanoparticles of some commercial products which enter the environment are unsafe for humans. This is also correct. So the correct option is 2 and 3, the option D. Now this concludes our part of science and technology. So I wish all the best to each and every one of you. I hope you all clear the prelims and move to the next stage, which is mains, and eventually clear this honorable examination. The other subjects will be taken by a subsequent faculty. Thank you so much and all the best.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Eduphore IAS. Today we discuss certain questions, you can say, from miscellaneous sections, but more of these questions would form directly or indirectly the part of your current affairs only. So that's the reason we are continuing this under miscellaneous, or you can say the current affairs section. So let's discuss the first question here. With reference to Gucci, sometimes mentioned in the news, consider the following statements. It is a fungus. Let's suppose that we don't know whether it is a fungus or whether it is insects or whatever it is. We don't have any information. Still, it grows in some Himalayas forest areas. It is commercially cultivated in the Himalayan foothills of northeastern India. If you can recall, Gucci was a few months back was in news because it is a kind of, you can say this, mushroom. It's a kind of mushroom which generally cost around 20 to 30 kg, 30,000 per kg. So this was in news. So if you can recall a little bit of this context, then yes, if it is a mushroom, it is a fungus, then it grows in some Himalayas forest. Yes, it indeed grows in some Himalayas forest, and it is not yet commercially cultivated. Had it been the case, the price wouldn't been, shooting up like this, 20 to 30,000 per kg. So 3 is incorrect, 1 and 2 is correct. So the statement, the option C would be correct for this question. Next question. WHO air quality guidelines consider the following. If you can recall, WHO recently, in the month of probably November or December, just released this new guidelines related to air quality or the air pollution. So even though if you can't recall this is static figure, let's presume that we are not sure about this one. Fine. In a year, the highest level of ozone pollution occurs during the periods of inclement weather. No, inclement weather means a kind of extreme weather. But for the formation of ozone, this pollution, we need a kind of, you can say, a stable, environmental this condition, especially this ozone forms during the photochemical process or photochemical smog process. So inclement weather cannot be the correct one because this is certainly a kind of extreme situation. So 2 is not correct. PM10 can penetrate the lung barrier and enter the bloodstream. Remember, the shorter or the smaller this particle, the greater the chance to penetrate in the bloodstreams. So even we know that not PM10, even we have PM2.5. So PM2.5, PM even 1. So anything lesser than this or on these scales can easily penetrate and not the PM10. So this option is incorrect. Let's say that we were not sure about this. 3 we can easily eliminate. The moment we eliminate 3, we are left with 1, 2 and 4. We don't see here any option regarding 1, 2 and 4. So we can presumably, we can delete 3, now we are left with 1 and 2 and 1 and 4. So as I said, inclement weather is not the favorable condition for this ozone pollution occurrence. So the moment we delete 2, we are just left with 1 and 4. Though it's quite, you can say, a little bit mix of factual as well as little bit of conceptual clarity about the ozone pollution. So yes, excessive ozone in the air can trigger asthma. Yes, of course it can trigger. So that's the reason that 1 and 4 is the correct answer for this particular question. Let's move ahead. Consider the following statement. The Climate Group is an international non-profit organization that drives climate action by building large networks and runs them. About this question, I would say getting a 5 this kind of statements or the points in a single question, and that too related to an environment one, seems little bit tricky. But this question was quite easier. How? See. Let's see, it seems to be a correct one. Let's first see the last option. The International Energy Agency is the secretary to the Under 2 coalition. First is talking about climate group. Last one is talking about International Energy Agency, secretary to the Under 2 coalition. No, the Under 2 coalition secretariat is provided by your climate group and not the International Energy Agency. The moment we say this is incorrect, then we are left with 1, 2, 3 and 4. Then again, let's read the second point. The International Energy Agency, in partnership with the climate group, launched a global initiative, EP100. EP100 is basically launched by a climate group and not in international energy agencies, and this is a group of, EP is basically efficiency of related to the environment, efficiency of energy, you can say efficiency of energy or this efficiency potential basically. So EP100 is a block of many multinational companies which is spearheaded by climate group, and even from India, Mahindra is part of this. Mahindra today there are more than not just Mahindra, but initially Mahindra joined this group. So this cannot be correct. Again, International Energy Agency is not in partnership with this climate group. Only climate group alone is spearheading this whole process. So 2 is incorrect. We are left with 1, 3 and 4 only. Even if you can eliminate just 5, see here 5, so it cannot be correct. Here 5, it cannot be correct. Here 5, it cannot be correct. So we are left with just 1, 3 and 4. Even we are not sure about second point. If you can eliminate this 5th point, we can easily reach to our answer. Next question. Climate action tracker which monitors the emission reduction pledges of different countries is a. Okay, so this was quite a factual kind of question. In such kind of questions, either you know or you don't know. Simple. So database created by coalition of research organization. Yes, this is basically the right answer for this question. It's a kind of NGO. But as I again said, this is a kind of a factual question. In factual kind of questions, either we know or we don't know. There is no other, option. So yes, the most appropriate answer for this question is A only. This cannot be the answers. Next is, with reference to Web 3.0, consider the following statement. So Web 3.0 is basically the focus or the background of this whole Web 3.0 is the decentralization of data, the decentralization mechanism which works in the background, or you can say the one of the chief characteristics of this Web 3.0. So let's read the statements. First one is, Web 3.1 technology enables people to control their own data. Yes, the whole mechanism behind this is decentralization of data or decentralization of control. So the moment we say decentralization, then yes, it gives the people the hold over their data. So correct. In Web 3.1, there can be a blockchain based social networks. Yes, blockchain, because blockchain technology, you can say all cryptocurrency and all these things have been in news since, long time back. So blockchain, which gives you, which forms different kinds of blocks controlling by different sets of people. So again, this forms the part of your decentralized mechanism. So again, 2 is correct. Web 3.1 is operated by users collectively rather than a corporation. Again, if we say the whole mechanism or based or the whole background of this Web 3.0 is decentralization. So the moment we say decentralization, so obviously this would be operated by users collectively rather than a corporation. Of course, this would be correct. So all 3 are correct. Next, consider the following. Yes, this again had been in the news, especially the Arogya Setu, because government had given it, they made it a open source. Open source, what exactly is the open source? Open source is anything, any website or platform where everybody has accessibility to the source code, you can say. Fine. Basically, the source code of these whole platforms are public, in the public domain. So that's why they are called open source. So yes, Arogya Setu is an open source portal. This app, CoWIN, is again a open source portal. DigiLocker is an open source app. Diksha is an open source portal or platform. So yes, all 3 are correct. Next, the Miyawaki method. Again, this had been in news because through this method, by this methods, I mean certain this forest had been, this planted, or you can say the forests were, the whole process of Miyawaki method was used to plant the forest, especially in the Maharashtra. So this had been in news. Miyawaki method is a well known for. So the moment we know just a keyword forest, so we can easily reach to our answer. Promotion of commercial farming in arid and semi-arid. No, this is not correct. Development of gardens using genetically modification flora. No. Creation of mini forests. Yes, in the urban areas. Yes, Miyawaki is related to the creation of mini forests in the cities or the towns. Basically, it's a method where you plant the trees and every trees, compete among themselves for getting the sunlight. And in that very process, the trees grow longer and longer. So after a certain time, you see the whole patch looks like a very well developed forest. We call it a mini forest. Next question, biorock technology. Talked about in which of the following situations? So yes, this question seems to be little factual, at the same time tricky, because the options seems to be quite closer ones. So let's see, restoration of damaged coral reefs. Yes, the answer is restoration of damaged coral reefs. What this biorock technology does, basically biorock technology helps in the accumulation of your CaCO3, that is calcium carbonate. And the calcium carbonate which forms, the shells, or which are very much important for the coral reefs, because symbiotic relationship and all, when we talk about wetlands and when we study about the coral reefs especially, so in those, I mean the zooxanthellae and all, we know the importance of this calcium carbonate. So this technology, particularly biorock technology, has application in the restoration of damaged coral reefs by accumulation of calcium carbonate. Next question. With reference to software as a service, SaaS, consider the following statements. Remember, software as a service is a part of, or is a, you can say, a subdomain of your cloud computing or cloud services, where you store the data and all, like for example Dropbox. SaaS buyers can customize the user interface and can change the data fields. Yes, you can customize if you have bought it. Like for example, in Dropbox, you can make changes. You can customize according to your need. So first is correct. SaaS users can access their data through their mobile devices. Of course you can. So again, I mean, you can access this Dropbox even on your mobile phone, the cell phones. Outlook, Hotmail, Yahoo Mail are forms of SaaS. Yes, indeed. These are the forms of SaaS. So again, all three are correct. Next question. Which of the following statements best reflects the idea behind the fractional orbital bombardment system often talked about? Let's presume we don't have any information. Even you can make here a calculated or a reasonable guess. How? There are certain things. Fractional orbital bombardment, I mean, this shows that some bombardment is going on from the orbits. Okay, so orbital bombardment system. Now let's read the statements. A hypersonic missile is launched into space to counter the asteroid approaching the Earth and explode it in space. If you can recall, this kind of program is being undertaken by, recently NASA, and again this was quite in news that NASA has. So even we don't know, we can easily eliminate this because there doesn't seem to be any kind of a bombardment from the orbits. A space aircraft lands on another planet after making several orbital motions. Yes, here we have orbit. A missile is put into a stable orbit around the Earth and deorbits over a target on the Earth. Because spacecraft lands on another planet. Here we are talking about a spacecraft. Here we are talking about bombardment, means something to attack. Means there should be something target, like you can say the missile attacking to some particular target. So how spacecraft? Again, this could not be the answer. A missile, indeed. A missile is put into a stable orbit around the Earth and deorbits over a target. Yes, deorbits from the, deorbits over a target. That is a missile which meets its targets from orbits and deorbits. So spacecraft moves along a comet with the same speed and places a probe on its surface. No. So the correct answer is C only. Okay, so probably you have discussed all the 10 questions from this section. Yes, yep, you have discussed every question. So that's it. Thank you.